don't create jobs, entrepreneurs do. Are you barely surviving in this economy but want to learn how to thrive in this economy? Are you tired of the rat race and burn with the desire to be your own boss? We've all heard the parable that if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. But if you teach that man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Are you ready to learn how to fish? Join proven entrepreneur, best-selling author, and host of Mental Self-Defense Radio, Jake Shannon, at the upcoming weekend Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Training right here in Salt Lake City. This Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Bootcamp is strictly limited to only 15 participants and is offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Learn more now at www.entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. That's entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com.
Dude, come on. Love my good.
Exposing politics as pro wrestling. Welcome to Mental Self-Defense Radio and the Jake Shannon Radio program. Now, here's your host, Jake Shannon.
5 to 1, baby. 1 in 5. No one here gets out alive now. You get yours, baby. I'll get mine. Gonna make it, baby, if we try.
Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Mental Self-Defense Radio. I am your host, Jake Shannon. This is where Utah gets its daily dose of liberty and logic. You can think of us as the Second Amendment for your mind. This is the show that fights to close that gap between rhetoric and reality. Now, follow my instructions closely. Write down our call-in number. You are going to need it. 801-254-5855. As Thomas Jefferson before me, I have sworn an eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the minds of men. So, while I may not agree with what you say when you call in, I will always fight for your right to say it. It is Monday, July 30th, 2012. I am back in the saddle after a wonderful 2-week business trip in the UK and Italy. Absolutely wonderful time. Very special thank you to the crew, not only my producer Steph, who looked over things while I was away, but Scott Lindsley. Incredible host. Always glad to have him. Not only is he a great radio man, but he's also a hardcore libertarian, which is always nice. Also Kenny Barlow. And the crew from Lunatic Fringe, Sean as well. I'm really thrilled that you guys could come in for me, cover for me. It was an incredible trip. I certainly think that, man, so I went to the UK last year, and it was amazing. We went and toured about, and this year we went and saw, the thing that I always find so impressive about the UK, the people are very friendly and whatnot. The weather's so-so. But, and it was a business trip. It was for my wrestling business. We went over and did some coaching, some seminars, but went over to the York prison in the city of York. And actually, my coach, an old-timer named Billy Robinson, probably the greatest wrestler of the style in which I'm obsessed with, was over there. And he was with us, and he knew the mayor of York. And so we had lunch with the mayor of York and went to the York prison. And I'll tell you, there's something about Europe and the UK in particular. It's so old. Like here, like the oldest building's like 350 years old or something, maybe 400 years old. There, it's like, it goes back thousands of years. And there's just such a deep, rich history. And Italy, man, I got to tell you, if that's certainly a bucket list item. I didn't hit the south. We didn't go down to like Rome and whatnot, but we hit, Venice. Venice was just, oh my goodness, the city with the canals and whatnot. It's beyond words. But anyway, I am thrilled to be back. Needed that. I guess it's like a working vacation. Felt good. But I'm back in the saddle, and I'm thrilled. We've got with us today a guy that I am pulling for and doing everything in my power, using this bullhorn to shout the news that we've got a really incredible candidate a guy that I've been fortunate to meet, especially because I'm here in Salt Lake where his campaign is headquarters. Former 2-term governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, is with us. And let me just bring him in, if I can get these buttons working. Yeah, hold on. Governor Johnson, are you there?
I am, Jake. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, no, I am thrilled. I am such a huge fan of you. But, I mean, look, yeah, you're a cool guy, and you do all this crazy stuff, the Himalayas. That's just amazing. I mean, I'm sorry to jump past all that because there's nothing to sneeze at. But, man, your record. I mean, governor veto is one thing, but president veto, that would be amazing. I don't see any other alternative at this point.
Well, there are big differences between me and the two other candidates. I'm the only candidate that doesn't want to bomb Iran. I'm the only candidate that wants to get out of Afghanistan tomorrow, bring the troops home. I am talking about marriage equality from the standpoint of it being a constitutionally guaranteed right. I want to repeal the Patriot Act. I would have never signed the National Defense Authorization Act allowing for detainment of you and I without being charged. Jake, I'd like to end the drug wars. I promised to submit a balanced budget to Congress, and I'm the only candidate that's talking about abolishing the IRS and abolishing income tax and corporate tax in lieu of a national consumption tax. In this case, I am embracing the fair tax.
Well, I've even heard, Ron Paul, who is so much of a standard bearer, and we know this, but he's even said that, yeah, I would support the fair tax insofar as it would repeal the 16th Amendment. It would end the IRS. I mean, you talk about a stimulus program. Holy moly, imagine being able to keep all your money. I just can't even imagine how much our economy would just instantly turn around.
Well, so the fair tax abolishes the IRS, income tax, corporate tax. I think it's really the answer when it comes to American jobs because, look, in a zero corporate tax rate environment, if the private sector doesn't create tens of millions of jobs, I don't know what it's going to take to create tens of millions of jobs. I see U.S. manufacturing jobs flocking back to the United States given a zero corporate tax rate environment.
Well, what I love, too, is that I've seen, these little memes that go around Facebook, and one of them is a quote of yours, and it is so spot on and so refreshing that you say, look, I don't create jobs. What I am going to do in my capacity here is get government the heck out of the way. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course, and that's what I love. I mean, not only are you an entrepreneur, what was it, Big J? Is that the name of the company?
Well, so I started a one-man handyman business in Albuquerque in 1974, Big J Enterprises, and actually grew that business to employ over 1,000 people in New Mexico, becoming New Mexico's largest construction employer. And as governor of New Mexico, no, I didn't create a single job, but because I controlled all the agencies, because I appointed the heads of all the agencies, I controlled all the rules and regulations. And rules and regulations, I'm going to argue, when I was governor, got better on a daily basis with really a basis in common sense when it came to getting better. Less time, less money to have to be able to comply with government that wasn't going to make us any safer, wasn't going to make us any more healthy, just add time and money in our daily lives.
Well, and I'm sure you're quite savvy at all this media stuff by now, so I'm going to kind of shotgun and jump around a bit. You talk about making us safer. I mean, this thing in Colorado, this is actually where I grew up. I was born in Denver, and I went to Colorado, University of Colorado, and all this. So I'm connected to Denver and to Colorado at large, and I feel for the people there. But to me, this is not something that gun control would have really stopped. I mean, the simple argument about criminals, by definition, they break the law, and by definition, then if guns are illegal, only criminals will have them. And I can imagine if people there actually were able to defend themselves immediately and not wait for the police, how things would have happened differently. What is your take on that? I know Obama obviously gave his obligatory condolences and things of that nature, but what's your take on the tragedy in Colorado, the shooting?
Well, Jake, I think you hit it right on. If you're going to make guns illegal, the only people with guns will be criminals. Here's something that I found out in Colorado that really You know, what I thought in Colorado was, gosh, here's a state that allows concealed carry. What if just a handful of audience members would have had concealed weapons and could have brought those to bear to perhaps make this tragedy less than what it already was. Well, I found out that movie theaters in Colorado don't allow concealed carry.
Oh, wow.
So but now you're back to law-abiding citizens, and if I am going to get my concealed carry permit because of this issue.
Might I recommend the Utah concealed carry? It has the most reciprocity of all the other states.
Well, very good. Well, so here it is. As a law-abiding citizen, I would not carry my concealed weapon. It said that guns were not allowed by law. This is my understanding, is that it is a state law in Colorado to not allow that. Now, if it's not a law, it is it's something that is posted at that theater that no weapons be allowed to be brought into that theater.
Yeah. I mean, and then you can make a choice like, you know what? Well, I'm not going to go in here basically where it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Right, make those choices. And neither of us, nobody is trying to downplay this tragedy. This is a tragedy, wish it would have never happened, but if we're looking at ways to prevent this kind of thing in the future, it's in my case, it's myself taking responsibility and getting a concealed permit and arming myself so that I might be able to prevent this kind of a situation should it ever be the case in my life.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's a tragedy, and it certainly is a very serious and sad thing that happened, as a matter of fact, I would say the opposite. It necessitates us to look at it. And again, like the economy, usually that involves getting out of the way in terms of the government, getting out of the way, laissez-faire.
Well, and another interesting thing about the shooter in Colorado was the only thing illegal that he had that is illegal is tear gas. Well, tear gas is illegal, and who's the one that had tear gas? He did.
Well, so the law didn't actually matter.
When you make something illegal, in this case firearms or tear gas, the criminals are going to have arms. Criminals are going to have tear gas.
We need somebody like you, and I do follow your campaign rather closely, not just because it's here in Salt Lake, but I really am pushing for you as hard as I possibly can. I know that you guys are, you have a really smart strategy. I know you guys are lean and mean, and the Libertarian Party, I mean, I'm the chair, so I understand that we don't have the big money, but you're doing quite well right now. People go over to Gary Johnson 2012. You're right, ramping up, kind of doing a money bomb style of thing or whatever to ramp up and do a media buy or something. Is that what you guys are doing?
Yeah, we're gonna have a media buy, and I'm really proud of the fact that we are competing at a fraction of a penny relative to these guys' dollars. I think it's important to point out that I'm going to be on the ballot in all 50 states. There are going to be only 3 candidates on the ballot in all 50 states. So really important for me also is to appear in the national debates against Obama and Romney. So this is our strategy, and yeah, we're lean and mean, and I would love for those listening, if they haven't checked it out, to get online, Gary Johnson 2012, and just check it out.
Well, I love your videos, the style and the way you got, whoever's doing that, man, that is just, it's so really cool.
Well, and that is Evan Tweed, Salt Lake City, and he did that for me in my gubernatorial campaign, and I really think Evan's a genius, and it shows with these ads. So back to checking out GaryJohnson2012.com and check out the YouTube videos that Evan has produced. I think they're terrific. I think the outcome of putting those ads or running those ads nationally would be profound.
Yeah, and the thing that I like too, because obviously I'm a radio host, they sound cool too. The visuals are just intense, and I like you have a little like a little subliminal message at the end of each one, which is really cool. But they're just such a great message. And anyway, I'm just thrilled that you're in the race, And you guys are, I saw some online, you're close, right? Like you're like 99% of your goal or something for this this deal that you're doing for the media buys?
Yes, we're very close to getting this, and depending on the poll right now, anywhere between 5% and 23%, just given given the poll that's being done. So,
and because of the Perot rule, you need 15, right?
Well, because of the Perot rule, we're supposed to have 15, but as I mentioned when I first got on, there's some big differences between myself and the other two candidates, and they have to do with civil liberties, they have to do with getting out of the wars, they have to do with balancing the federal budget, and in my opinion, throwing out the income tax and our whole existing tax structure in lieu of something, the fair tax, which I think is, as the name implies, is fair. It's a level playing field. It kicks crony capitalism in the teeth. Issues pink slips to half of Washington lobbyists because half of Washington lobbyists are there to get loopholes for clients, individuals, groups, corporations that are willing to pay for those loopholes.
Well, here's to President Veto. That's what I'm pushing for. President, we need it. I don't see this country going past 2020 or 2025 without it. I just don't. So
I don't either. I think we're on the verge of a monetary collapse, and that's going to be when the dollars we have don't buy anything because of the ensuing inflation that's going along with printing as much money as we are.
And the debt. The debt ceiling is just, I can't even, the numbers are so big that a human brain can't even really comprehend it. When you get into the trillions and like how Japan is quadrillions, it really boggles the mind.
Well, I completely agree, and if we don't address it, if we don't all take part in mutual sacrifice, we're going to all find ourselves with nothing, and that's not going to be pretty. And yet, that's exactly what's going to happen. We cannot avoid the consequences of continuing to borrow and print money to the tune of 43 cents out of every dollar. So how about electing a president that's going to promise, Congress is going to have to go along with this, but I promise to submit a balanced budget to Congress in the year 2013, and I promise to veto any legislation where expenses exceed revenue, believing if those two promises get kept, even if Congress overrides the veto, that spending will be lower with those two promises kept than any other scenario you could come up with.
And so, people like me that are fired up about you, believe in you. I mean, the thing is what I like about guys like you, Ron Paul, there's very few, but there's a record. I don't have to be worried about your rhetoric because I just can go, look, man, you vetoed. You were like a veto machine, and we really do need that. So people who want to support you, what's the best way? Go over to GaryJohnson2012.com. That's
the best way, Jake. GaryJohnson2012.com. Check it out, and we'd love to have your support.
Brilliant. Hey, thank you so much for I know you're a very busy man. I appreciate it, and as ever, anything that we can do here in Salt Lake, please don't hesitate to ask.
All right, I'm going to hold you.
Please.
Hey, thank you very much.
Okay,
Great
thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Gary Johnson, presidential candidate, Libertarian. Man, it's about time that the Libertarian Party got somebody of that caliber.
Two-way talk.
Guys, I apologize for going long, but, it's not often that I get a candidate like Gary Johnson on the line. So I appreciate that, and I know a couple people called or whatever. I'm not really I didn't want to take any calls then, but I am open to calls now, and I'm open to anything. Now, take it easy on me. I've been gone for 2 weeks, so take it slow, but I wanted to talk about this whole Batman, James Holmes, this whole issue that arose, this tragedy. Now, there's a reason why I brought it up with Gary Johnson. Doesn't something about it just rub you the wrong way? Doesn't it seem fishy to you? Now, maybe it's because, I am a professional hypnotist and I am sensitive to this stuff. I've written my hypnotist book, which you can check out, hypnotistbook.com. I have a whole section devoted to how hypnosis and, narco-hypnosis and the CIA had used it, Manchurian candidates, things of that nature. Just some weird anomalies, which, again, is another book I wrote, Anomaly, about these unusual things that might be better not to ignore, or just because they're uncomfortable that you don't really want to address them. That cognitive dissonance or whatever. There's a lot of weird things about that. Now, we'll go in depth into that, but we got a caller here. We got Troy calling in Salt Lake City. Hey, Troy, welcome to the show.
Jake!
Troy!
Welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was amazing. I'm exhausted because it was work. I had a lot of work that I was doing, but boy, I got to say, Italy, if you haven't gone, that's definitely should be on the bucket list. It was incredible.
It is, except pedestrians don't have the right of way.
Well, they better get out of my way because I like it there.
Hey, I've got something I needed to talk to you about.
Yep.
I don't remember the name of your guest. I mean, the people that took over your show while you were gone.
Oh, yeah, it's either Scott or Kenny. Yep.
Well, these were two guys that came on together, and they said something that was very disheartening. That I really don't think it's caliber to your show, and that's they were talking about the sheriff there in Arizona.
Oh, Arpaio.
Yeah, finding out that Obama's birth certificate is fraud, and he said that they should impeach the sheriff. He's actually a national treasure. If people in our government would do checkups on corruption, we probably wouldn't be in this mess. But they just ran him down and said that he should be impeached, and it was just really disheartening to hear. And if you want people like Mr. Johnson to win, the last thing we need to do is keep making excuses for that dang president of ours.
Well, I don't think anybody's making excuses, and I don't know. That's their opinion. I think that was Kenny and Sean probably, and you know what? They're entitled to their opinion. When I let them have the show, it's their right to say what they want to say, and I trust them. They're good guys. Now, I will say this about my own personal opinion on Arpaio. I do think that what he's doing with Obama and all this kind of stuff and the birth certificate, I think that's great. I do. What I don't like about Sheriff Arpaio is his immigration approach. I don't like the way he treats other fellow human beings. I am rather disgusted with that. But look, I'll take things piecemeal. I will, when he does something good, like going after Obama, by all means, cool. But the guy disgusts me, frankly, Arpaio, with regards to the way he treats immigrants down there, and his push to change the law from probable cause to reasonable suspicion is tyrannical. And as a libertarian, I am very much not in favor of that. A guy I do like is Sheriff Mack, who I've had on the show, and he, again, is like me. He likes a lot of what Arpaio does, but he disagrees with him on that.
Well, is it the fact that he's not treating people that are breaking the law and crossing the line into Arizona and causing hospitals to close down and people being robbed in their home? I mean, why shouldn't he be cracking down on those people?
Well, I guess it's a difference of philosophy. The reason why I don't think he should be cracking down on peaceful citizens, I don't think there should be a requirement of evidence going from probable cause to reasonable suspicion, because that's exactly what's happening across our country. It's just the tyrants are finding a bunch of different reasons to do so. One terrorism, one racism, one immigrants, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. When somebody commits a crime, go for them after that crime. But Troy, we live in a country right now that is overrun with ridiculous laws. And if you equate something being illegal with immoral, I would challenge you to reevaluate that. Sometimes they coincide, but they're more like parallel lines. They a lot of times move along together, but they never intersect, or rarely do. And in my feeling, if an immigrant is being fraudulent or violent, then they're a criminal. But if not, if they're just adding to the culture and whatnot, I have no problem with that. And, I feel that we should be getting rid of entitlements, not just for immigrants, but for natives as well.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But, I just think it's a situation. If our federal government was doing their job, we wouldn't even have this mess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a problem with quote-unquote illegal immigrants. I'm an illegal. I jaywalk, so I guess I'm an illegal native.
No. I'm just saying, basically, when they come in, of course, if their country isn't doing very well and they're really struggling, of course, you can't blame them for coming in.
Troy, more of them are leaving. This was a huge article just about a month ago. More are leaving the country because it sucks here and going back to Mexico.
I don't blame them. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I just felt bad how they were talking about impeaching him. And, if he's going to do something like that, I mean, his reputation is going to be totally smeared. George Soros, one of Obama's Chicago hacks, has admitted that he's going to spend billions of dollars destroying the sheriff. And for him to come out and put his name on the line like that, with the hard hitters in the background with money behind them, I think that's pretty incredible.
Like I say, I do support him going after Obama, whatever he calls his posse or whatever. That's cool. It's just, for me, you talk about tarnishing something. I can't. He leaves a disgusting taste in my mouth because of the way he's approached with the prison tents and all this stuff down there. I look at somebody like Gary Johnson, who was a successful two-term governor, Republican, twice elected in a 2-to-1 Democratic state on a border town, and he realizes the problem of the violence and the fraud comes from the stupid drug laws. That's why this is happening. We're creating this artificial price fixing, and it makes it crazy. And if you just would decriminalize that stuff and deal with people who are violent and fraudulent, and that's natives and illegals, boom, no problem. But for me, I'm like, personally, I'm all for 100% the complete free movement of labor and capital across borders. I don't think there should be any impediment as long as you're a peaceful and productive person. And just because you underbid the native population, well, that just means you're harder working and you're offering something as good of a service as at a lower price, and that's the free market to me.
Okay.
All right, sorry to disagree.
No, it's fine. We all have our differences.
All right, Troy. Hey, please don't be a stranger. I'm always open, though.
All right.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. The immigration thing, the xenophobia, I'm done with that. Done. I as an entrepreneur with several different ventures, I take umbrage with these people who say, oh, well, illegal immigrants are taking our jobs. No, excuse me. Whose jobs are they? You're not entitled to a job. If you want that, go to some socialist country where you're guaranteed a job. Whose jobs are they? They're the entrepreneur, the person putting up the capital, taking the risk, putting in the 14-hour days, busting their hump. And if somebody can come to me, and so would they speak Spanish. You know what? I speak Spanish too. Gasp. It's how the heck I was able to get around Italy. Did you know that? If you speak decent Spanish, like Spanish and hand gestures, man, you can get all around Italy, no problem. They're so similar. But I don't have xenophobia. I have no problem with that. Now, if they're coming over here and they're being illegal, like in terms of, when I talk about a crime, I mean a violent or a fraudulent crime. And I also mean entitlement. So I don't want to hear anybody arguing about the hospitals and stuff because I agree with that. But I also don't think that should be happening for our citizens either. Whether you're a native or illegal, I'm not into that. I'm into charity. I'm into voluntary giving. But as an entrepreneur, somebody who does create jobs, not only for myself, for my family, for other people who work for me, this they take our jobs nonsense. It's just, as a matter of fact, I'm giving a boot camp this weekend. You probably heard it all, advertised and whatnot on the radio show here on entrepreneurship. And I have a very specific way of thinking. I almost feel that a entrepreneur has taken almost that next kind of evolutionary step or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But I look at like somebody who has a day-to-day job, like a hunter-gatherer. And somebody who is an entrepreneur has taken that step into the agricultural revolution, has started farming. Instead of taking every little seed you find as you hunt and gather and eating it and barely getting enough to survive. Instead, the farmer takes that, enough to survive and saves a few, and plants them. And then they begin to grow and flourish. And that's how I see the difference between, kind of a wage slave and an entrepreneur. But anyway, let's go to the phones. We got, I think it's Rob. Rob in Salt Lake City. Are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you today, Jakey?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to get back in the saddle, dust off the ring rust here a little bit.
Took a little trip, did you?
Oh, yeah, 2 weeks. It was a working vacation, but still, there was a bit of
So you wrote it all off, didn't you?
I wrote it off? Yeah, I can.
That's right.
Because
That's
I'm
the
an
laws
entrepreneur.
Of America.
Because I'm an entrepreneur.
That's one of the laws of America that you can take advantage of.
Yeah, one of the loopholes.
One of the loopholes. Yeah, with the illegal immigration thing, Arpaio, I think he's doing a pretty good job myself down there. I think, with all the drug, like you said, the war on drugs, that ain't working.
It's not working. Laws do not work like that. No. It's like Gary Johnson just said, this wacko idiot psychopath in Colorado, tear gas is illegal, and yet he still got it. So the idiots, the bad guys, don't care about legality. It's just us good people, and then we become, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where you go with the laws on, a lot of these illegal immigrants that are working in our country. They don't follow the same.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
The same code. They don't pay the workman's comp.
We've had all of these stupid xenophobic laws. We've had them forever, and they don't work. We have people flooding right now when they do like that May Day or whatever in L.A., and it's like the whole city, all the Mexicans who are quote-unquote illegal, come out. The laws don't work. So what do? You incentivize.
Well, what happened in California basically is now you've got all these people that are in politics there making legislation that are from.
You want them to go away, then stop with the welfare for not only natives but also for illegals. If you subsidize something, you get more of it. This is not controversial.
Oh yeah, I'm done with the welfare for the politicians too,
and corporations,
and the senators, and corporations. As a matter of fact, that's the part I have on my truck. It says, "Get corporations off of welfare."
Brilliant.
But yeah, I think Arpaio's doing a good job because you know what? The federal government ain't doing nothing.
I would challenge you, Rob, to look at what he's done with regards to probable cause, moving it to reasonable suspicion.
Well, I mean,
that's
it's
a
at
bad
a point
move.
now where it's kind of.
That's a bad move.
Yeah, I know, but you know what?
You know what? If I had brown skin and I'm driving around and I'm blaring ranchero music, but I happen to be a U.S. citizen, now they have reasonable cause. Before, they'd have to have probable suspicion that I'm actually doing something. Well, you know what? I shouldn't be harassed.
It's really a sad state, though, that the borders are just not being, protected like they should be.
Who gives a crap about protecting from?
Overseas.
But Rob, who gives a crap about protecting us against harmless people? Protect us against the violence, and first of all, make these drugs legal. Make them legal. Then the prices come down, and everybody leaves the business, and there's no more people taking risks.
I totally agree with you. I have to agree with you on that.
I would really challenge you, Rob. Please take a look at the different. Look, I'm not saying, like I said to Troy, I like what Arpaio has done with Obama and going after him. That's great, but he is seriously on a very dangerous path with this reduction from probable cause to reasonable suspicion, and they're using the immigrants as a scapegoat. It doesn't have to be that way. New Mexico doesn't do that. It doesn't have to be that way.
Well, I think I don't know. I just my other alternative would be to open the borders completely. Get rid of the Border Patrol. Get rid of all their jobs. No more Border Patrol.
Listen, let's just run a thought experiment along that line for a second.
I hate paying for things I'm not getting.
Exactly. The laws don't work. The war on drugs, the gigantic waste, a suckhole of people's lives and money. And this is the same with, there's going to be a free movement of labor and capital, whether it's illegal or not. It's peaceful. And people don't find it to be that much of a problem. Now, when somebody is violent or destructive of property or taking property that is legal but is wrong, like through entitlements, boom, get them out of here. Done. But you can't stop this stuff.
They do a lot of that. All right, well, yeah, I just wanted to chime in on Arpaio. I think I kind of, I don't know.
I know. You've said it 10 times. You kind of like what he's doing, and I'm saying it back to you. Please poke around and be a little more, section out the parts you like, but there are parts that are pretty scary that he's doing. Rob, you there? Lost him. Sorry, Rob, don't mean to offend you, but this is not an issue that is only about illegals. This is happening at all these different levels where they're just going with reasonable suspicion. Pretty soon they won't even need reasonable suspicion. They'll just detain you. They'll do whatever indefinitely. Oh, that's right. We've already got that. All right, guys, come on back. Mental Self-Defense Radio, AM 630, K-Talk. I am back. Taking your calls, 801-254-5855. Come on back.
Gung Ho promotes brain health and retention of normal cognitive functions with aging.
Gung Ho doesn't just improve brain energy, focus, and memory recall. It supports overall brain health and cognition. Find Gung Ho at k-talk.com.
Light focus. You're over 40, having trouble reading street signs, driving is getting scary, and reading isn't fun anymore. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's the curse of cataracts. I know, I went through it. Then I went to the Eye Institute of Utah, and in a matter of minutes, the problem was solved. No pain, no discomfort, and by that evening, I had the vision I'd enjoyed as a teenager. Years ago, cataract surgery was a huge deal. Now, thanks to modern LensX laser technology, the whole procedure's over in a matter of minutes with no pain or discomfort, and Medicare pays most of the cost. Don't trust your vision to just anyone. You want the very best, and for me, that was Dr. Sione and the other highly trained specialists at the Eye Institute of Utah. They've done thousands of successful procedures, and they're so advanced that other doctors come from all over the world to study under their guidance. Call now for a free evaluation. 801-803-6968. That's 801-803-6968. Call 801-803-6968 now for a free evaluation.
Politicians may try to convince you that they can create jobs, but the cold fact is that politicians don't create jobs, entrepreneurs do. Are you barely surviving in this economy but want to learn how to thrive in this economy? Are you tired of the rat race and burn with the desire to be your own boss? We've all heard the parable that if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. But if you teach that man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Are you ready to learn how to fish? Join proven entrepreneur, best-selling author, and host of Mental Self-Defense Radio, Jake Shannon, at the upcoming weekend Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Training right here in Salt Lake City. This Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Bootcamp is strictly limited to only 15 participants and is offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Learn more now at www.entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. That's entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com.
The voice of Utah. AM 630 K-Talk.
K-Talk.com.
Number one for the most live, local two-way talk.
Operator, well, could you help me place this call? See the number.
All right, guys, welcome back. Mental Self-Defense Radio. I am Jake Shannon, fresh, even though it was a working vacation, but I needed it a little bit, from the UK and Italy. Fortunately, missed all the hubbub and the security stuff from the Olympics. I don't know if you're watching that kind of stuff. Last night I was watching actually Italy, which you have to understand, like these countries in Europe are like states here. And I think like China's number one in terms of medals, US is number two, and then Italy is number three, this little tiny country. Anyway, talking about all kinds of things, one thing that struck me, because it was all over the media, even overseas, was this James Holmes, this tragedy that happened in Aurora, Colorado. I actually, when I was born, I grew up until I was like 5 years old in Aurora. I went to this, some elementary school out there, and I have family still out there. Very, very sad circumstances. Stinks to high heaven. Certainly something is rotten in Denmark. I think there's more to the story than is being leaked. I know that they're talking about sealing information and whatnot, but there's plenty of information out there, and I want to go over some of the anomalies that are just glaring, at least to me, Maybe you think I'm wearing my tinfoil hat today, but I don't think so. I don't think so. We got Craig out in Sandy. Craig, welcome to the show.
Hi, Shannon. Hey, so what do you think? There's some kind of conspiracy going on with the Colorado thing, Manchurian candidate type thing, where they...
Look, all I'm going to say, Craig, is I don't know. But all I do know is I rarely believe what ends up being the official narrative put out by the government or whatever. I mean, usually there's so many holes in it, it's like Swiss cheese. So, there's some weird things that are reminiscent of MK Ultra. I don't know. I'm not intimately involved. I don't have some secret deep throat, leaking information to me. But there is a sense of me as a statistician seeing a bunch of data points and finding maybe a trend or a certain line or maybe some sort of correlation. Certainly something's weird. I mean, don't you? Are you just like, yeah, he was a wacko and whatever?
Yeah, he wanted to get notoriety and he went in there and shot him. There's nothing more to it.
How do you
People
know?
want to make.
How do you
they
know?
want to make something. Well, I don't know, but it's just pretty obvious.
Wait. So you're saying you don't know and yet it's obvious. So
well,
knowledge.
You said that you know. And it's
no,
not
I don't.
obvious.
I said I have no clue. All I'm saying is there's certainly some stuff that stinks that you don't know.
You know what it is? It's just fodder for talk shows. They just go on and on about conspiracy crap. The guy was a wacko. He went in there by himself, and he's famous now.
How do you
That's what
know?
He wanted.
How do you know him personally?
No, I don't, but it's pretty obvious.
But
I
how
wanna
can
talk
something be
about your
obvious? Wait. I'm asking you explicitly if you know something. You say no, and then you're like, it's obvious. You understand
you know what?
the
If
dissonance.
you don't know something, you shouldn't comment on it. You shouldn't,
Okay, so why are you
but
commenting?
Not even on a talk show.
Why are you commenting?
I'm commenting on the fact that you commented on it. It's ignorant. I can't believe they let people like you on the radio.
I know, they're crazy, aren't they?
I can't. Yeah.
And you know what's great, Craig? You know what's great?
Pal.
At any point, you can turn it off.
Yeah, I know.
But
you know
don't,
what?
do you?
Before
Because
I do, I want to turn on and give my 2 cents. You think that the labor force in America are hunters and gatherers? You know, if you didn't have a labor force, there would be no entrepreneurs. You need somebody to do the work, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, then what were you putting down labor for? You just said when you was on there before. I think that there's a difference between people.
Oh, I see. So this is what you're really calling about, because you've never taken the risk. You've never.
I have a roofing company and I hire people.
Oh,
if I didn't have the people that work for me, I wouldn't make any money. Quit putting down labor.
I wasn't putting
Craig. You are dangerous. They should pull you off the radio.
Craig, take a breath, my friend. Nice deep breath. Switch to decaf, and let's have a conversation. I mean, you can keep ranting and yelling at me. I'll just probably hang up on you. But if you want to have a conversation, that's what I thought. You don't want to have a conversation. Bye, Craig. You're the kind of person that says language is dangerous. Let's control speech. Let's not hear things that might challenge our worldview. How crazy. The point I was making about the shift from being a wage slave, which I was, to being an entrepreneur, which I am, is taking the responsibility for yourself. There's a lot of people who had the rug pulled out from under them during this economic collapse, Craig. People that you couldn't hire. And all I'm suggesting, there's no put down. I'm suggesting people expand their skill set. Learn what you have if you are part of the labor force. You're the owner, and you're threatened by me turning on the labor force to the fact that they can own their own jobs. I guess I can understand that. But I would like people to be free, have more options, learn more. And that knowledge, there is a difference, right? So you understand what I was getting to about, you said that you didn't know, but it's obvious. This is what's called an epistemological problem. A problem about knowledge. You're holding a contradictory position. Don't be mad at me because I'm the guy telling you got spinach in your teeth or your fly's down. I'm trying to help you. Now, there are certainly things going back to this shooter that are unusual. I guess you could just roll over and take whatever anybody says and the way things are presented. But guess what? This is still a free country, and I'm not. I'm going to try to figure it out and do my best. Whether that's with trying to figure these crazy things out where they try to pass laws. Don't you find it a little strange that this shooting happened right as the UN is trying to push this gun ban treaty? You know that treaties supersede the Constitution and could therefore revoke your Second Amendment right? And that is in the Constitution? Why don't you turn the radio off, Craig? And I'm going to talk to the people who do care. That way, your blood pressure goes down. You can relax. You can get back to your life, whatever. And the people who do care can listen. Did you know that there's eyewitnesses who saw an accomplice? Did you know that?
This being a lone wolf attack.
All the evidence we have, every single indicator is that this is all Mr. Holmes's activity and that he wasn't particularly aided by anyone else.
But is that true? Eyewitness reports from the scene indicate that Holmes got a phone call from someone inside the theater, and also that tear gas was thrown from more than one location.
He got a phone call, and most people, when they get phone calls in theaters, they go straight out into the lobby to answer it. This person went directly to the emergency exit. He had his foot propped open by the door, and from the crack, it looked like he was signaling somebody or looking for somebody to come his way.
As I was sitting down to get my seat, I noticed that a person came up to the front row, to the front right, sat down, and as credits were going, I noticed it seemed like he got a phone call. So he went out towards the emergency exit doorway, which I thought was unusual to take a phone call.
From what we saw, he wasn't alone. He had someone with him because the second can of tear gas didn't come from his side.
So what you need to know is that there are so many questions about what really happened in Colorado. Questions we don't have answers to, and we may never have answers to. What is unfortunate is that instead of really digging into why this apartment would be rigged to kill, but then Holmes would then warn police and then lawyer up and not say anything else, where he got the funding and the firearms training, and these eyewitness reports that there was more than one person, instead of asking those questions, national media want to focus all their attention on why guns were legal in the first place. National media seems too busy playing the political game, not busy enough looking into what really happened. And that is Reality Check.
Now, did you know that? That was 3 different witnesses. None of them knew each other, all saying the same thing. Oh yeah, go back to sleep. Watch your Dancing with the Stars. Did you know, and this is from the DenverPost.com, let me read you a headline. July 21st, 2012. Denver Post. This is not some conspiracy wacko. The Denver Post. Did you know that this is the headline? Real life shooting imitates training exercise at Parker Medical School. Did you know the same day of 9/11, they had training exercises where a jumbo jet flew into the World Trade Center? The odds of that, I'm a statistician. I've worked professionally as a statistician. The odds of that coincidence are truly astronomical. And by astronomical, I mean very unlikely. Not a coincidence. And here we go. Denver Post. Real life shooting imitates training exercise. Boy, where have we heard that before? At Parker Medical School. Going down, the dean there, Dr. Bruce Dubin says, quote, "The irony is amazing. Just amazing." There's a lot of unusual, weird things about this. Am I saying I know what happened? Am I naming players? No. But what I'm saying is this lone wolf bullcrap has got to stop. You guys have to stop being, for those of you who buying that, stop being a sucker. There's something weird about Denver with all this stuff too, and these shootings. You remember John Hinckley Jr.? the guy who made an assassination attempt on Reagan's life, just 6 months into his presidency, when the former CIA, George H.W. Bush, would have become president, just 6 weeks. Did you know? This is from an Associated Press story, March 31st, 1981. Bush's son had dinner plans with Hinckley brother before the shooting. All this gets whitewashed, but these articles are out there. You just need to know the look. That article, again, from 1981, and the shooting, it's just weird. The family of the man charged with trying to assassinate President Reagan is acquainted with the family of Vice President George Bush and had made large contributions to his political campaign, the Houston Post reported today. The newspaper said in a copyright story, Scott Hinckley, brother of John W. Hinckley Jr., who allegedly shot Reagan, was to have dined tonight in Denver at the home of Neil Bush, one of the vice president's sons. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. This stuff, there is something weird. Now, the really weird stuff does get into when you look at the fact, one, that he's a psychology student or a neuroscience PhD candidate. Now, you remember Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber? Remember him? I'm looking at an article from The Atlantic. Okay, this is not a conspiracy rag. This is The Atlantic Monthly, the prestigious magazine. June 2000 article. Harvard and the making of the Unabomber. In the fall of 1958, Theodore Kaczynski, a brilliant but vulnerable boy of 16, entered Harvard. There he encountered a prevailing intellectual atmosphere of anti-technology despair. There also, he was deceived into subjecting himself to a series of purposefully brutalizing psychological experiments that may have confirmed his still forming belief in the evil of science. Was the Unabomber born at Harvard? I'll be posting all this stuff up. You can look. And I'm very suspicious that James Holmes, as a maybe perhaps psychology undergraduate looking for money, participated in one of these studies. Maybe where they gave him some sort of drug, some sort of something to alter his grasp on reality. Like what happened to Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber. These are facts, whether you like them or not. And it even gets weirder. Did you know that his father, I'm looking at the LinkedIn page, the resume page for his father, Robert Holmes, is a scientist, but has deep ties to U.S. government research, in particular DARPA. DARPA is where the crazy stuff happens. When MK Ultra, the mind control stuff, got busted, they moved that to DARPA, D-A-R-P-A. Come on back, guys. Mental Self-Defense Radio. K-Talk, the voice of Utah.
Are you ready for some fun? It's time to get out and play. Grab your kids, grandkids, and the kid in you. Experience the fun of radio-controlled cars, trucks, boats, and helicopters. Visit www.primehobbies.com, your online hobby store. We only stock name brand products, Traxxas radio-controlled cars and trucks, HPI Racing, Align Helicopters, Team Associated, and Quest Aerospace. If you're tired of buying and buying and buying the discount store junk, stop by primehobbies.com and purchase a vehicle that will last for years with parts support to keep you up and running. Let Prime Hobbies be your #1 trusted online hobby superstore. For fun delivered right to your door, go to primehobbies.com. That's www.primehobbies.com. Let the fun begin. www.primehobbies.com.
Hey, this is Dan the Laptop Man from PC Laptops. Here's what happened to poor Eddie, who bought one of those other brands of computers for school. Oh, Mom, Dad, I started smoking crack and my teeth fell out, and I don't bathe anymore because the crappy computer we got from the big box store has been in Chumbawamba for repair for the whole semester. Help me, Mommy! Here's what happened to Billy, whose parents bought him a PC Laptops computer with a lifetime service warranty. Mom, Dad, I've got a 4.0, and I've got a full ride scholarship. I'm also eating all my vegetables. At this rate, you won't have to worry about retirement because my success has you taken care of. What a wise investment. I love you guys. Show your student or faculty ID and get an extra $100 off any new computer. And to make it extra fluffy, we're doing 0 down, 0 interest for a year on any new computer. OAC, call us at 1-877-596-SAVE or check us out at PCLaptops.com. PCLaptops.com. PC Laptops, we love you.
You're listening to Utah's first #1 talk station. K-Talk, AM 630, KTKK, Sandy, Salt Lake City. The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
NBC News Radio, I'm Pete Williams. Formal murder charges were filed today in the Colorado movie theater shootings against 24-year-old James Holmes. Mary Ellen Hansen, whose niece was one of the was in the courtroom today.
He responded very appropriately and said yes when he understood the charges. He did look around once in the courtroom. I do think he might have something wrong with his eyes because of the expression that he uses, but he seemed very coherent to me.
Doctors say her niece, Ashley Moser, was paralyzed by the shooting, and Moser's 6-year-old daughter was killed. At the Olympics in London, American Ryan Lochte was shut out of the medals in the 200-meter freestyle swimming event today. The gold went to Yannick Annel of France. China wins its second straight Olympic men's gymnastics title. Japan took the silver, Britain the bronze. This is NBC News Radio. The Syrian government stepped up its campaign to drive rebels out of the city of Aleppo today. NBC's Ayman Mohiuddin says people have been trying to escape that city and the country.
More than 600 Syrians have fled across the border to neighboring Turkey in the past 24 hours, bringing the total number of refugees to 43,000. Many of those are fleeing the fighting in the city of Aleppo, where over the weekend, the Syrian military launched an assault to regain control of parts of the city that had fallen into rebel hands earlier in the week. Meanwhile, speaking in Tehran, Iran, the Syrian foreign minister vowed his government would defeat the rebels in Aleppo, as they did in Damascus. Ayman Mohiuddin, NBC News, Antakya.
The American Defense Secretary Leon Panetta says that Western sanctions against Iran over its nuclear program are working, even, he says, if the impact on the decision-making in Tehran isn't yet obvious. His comments come ahead of a visit this week to Israel, which has said the sanctions have not stopped Iran. I'm Pete Williams, NBC News Radio.
Hey guys, I want to give you an opportunity that you've never had before. My name is Ellen, and I'm an attorney talking to you about a medical breakthrough for men in the sexual health world that uses cutting-edge technology. This amazing product is called Retoxor, and the results have been remarkable on the subjects who were studied during case testing. Legally, all I'm allowed to say on the radio is that the before and after comparisons are nothing short of shocking. Be one of the first 50 callers right now and find out how to get Retoxor for free. Due to the private nature of Retoxor, we have created an identity protection program, which absolutely guarantees you that nobody will ever know you participated. Your name will never appear on any delivery, and there will be no emails or phone calls. As a matter of fact, we won't even ask you for your name when you call.
Shocking before and afters. 800-434-4502. Your identity is completely protected. 800-434-4502. That's 800-434-4502 right now.
I'm Professor Burke from the University of Farmers, where we wind up agents like outboard motors, and this is a pop quiz. If you're out on the water and your boat finds its way into a steel buoy, are you covered? If you've got Farmers boater insurance, the answer is yes. If not, we've got a policy to help you stay above water, even if your boat's below it.
If you want answers about boat insurance, you want a Farmers agent. Find yours at farmers.com. We are insurance.
We are Farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Coverage not available in all states.
I was like, what? Look out!
GoRadio.com. Explore our worlds.
Hey, it's not the computer girl from PC Laptop. It's back to
to school time and everybody needs a good computer for school, work, and home. I want you to ask yourself some questions about your computer. Is your computer running crappy? Does it sound like there's little demons running around inside? Does it smell like burnt almonds? Do you wonder if you have viruses or spyware? Or are you just wondering? Did you know at PC Laptops we can fix any brand of desktop or laptop PC? Because we really do love you so much, just bring in your laptop or desktop computer, no matter what brand it is. I will scan it for viruses, spyware, and give you a system valuation for free. Yep, free! No charge. No obligation. Free, free, free. Right now. Call us at 1-877-596-SAVE. That's 1-877-596-SAVE. Or check us out at PCLaptops.com. PC Laptops, we love you!
Politicians may try to convince you that they can create jobs, but the cold fact is that politicians don't create jobs. Entrepreneurs do. Are you barely surviving in this economy but want to learn how to thrive in this economy? Are you tired of the rat race and burn with the desire to be your own boss? We've all heard the parable that if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. But if you teach that man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Are you ready to learn how to fish? Join proven entrepreneur, best-selling author, and host of Mental Self-Defense Radio, Jake Shannon, at the upcoming weekend Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Training right here in Salt Lake City. This Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Bootcamp is strictly limited to only 15 participants and is offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Learn more now at www.entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. That's entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com.
Forget everything else for a moment and pay very close attention to the words you're about to hear. Something is wrong with your reality. Big government, big business, the mainstream media, and orthodox science all tell you what to believe. Yet the holes in their stories only get bigger every day. Welcome to your wake-up call. Welcome to your red pill. Welcome to Mental Self-Defense Radio and the Jake Shannon Radio program. Now, here's your host, Jake Shannon.
All right, welcome back. Here we are, hour 2 of my my show back after 2 weeks off, spending it in Italy and the United Kingdom. Hope you guys are doing good. First hour we were talking a bit. Actually, the first hour I opened it up with a presidential candidate, a former 2-term governor, a guy that I am wholeheartedly 100% supporting. Governor Gary Johnson. So if you missed that, if you go to the k-talk.com website, click on Show Archives, find my name. About, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes after the show ends here at about, so we're doing 2 o'clock. Yeah, we're doing 3 hours nowadays. So you'll have to wait till after the show's over, but it'll be up. You can listen to him, his insights, help him out. Obviously, you want to learn more about him as a candidate. GaryJohnson2012.com. Meandered a bit into illegal immigrants, which was interesting, and entrepreneurship, and then ultimately into this this thing that I've been trying to talk about and focus, but it's okay. I mean, I'm open. 801-254-5855. Whatever you guys, I'm just happy to hear you. Whatever you want to talk about, but in particular, the unusual circumstances behind this James Holmes, this Batman shooter. And the weird kind of timing, some of the anomalies, like the multiple witness testimonies that there was more than one person, that it wasn't a lone gunman. Some of the shades of Theodore Kaczynski, some of the shades of MK Ultra, all of this dovetailing, which seems somewhat coincidental or sinister, however you are inclined to look at it, with regards to this UN arms treaty that is trying to be pushed through. And if you don't realize this, treaties supersede the Constitution. So also looking at some of the unusual circumstances between James Holmes and the fact that his father Robert Holmes, who's a PhD in statistics, but has contracted quite a bit with DARPA, which is the big, crazy agency or whatever that does all the super secret, wild stuff. And it's just something is really weird here. Something's really, really bizarre. Doesn't add up to me. It just feels wrong. I think also that his grandfather, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Holmes, and you have to understand when the MK Ultra came out and all the hearings in the 1970s, what they found was a lot. Were done randomly, but all, on American citizens against their will. But these mind control experiments were also done in large part on the children of Air Force, Army, and Navy people. Well, James Holmes is the grandson of Lieutenant Colonel Robert Holmes, which is interesting because he did some work, it seems, because he was a Turkish translator or something like that, did some work with most likely intelligence, foreign intelligence like the CIA. Very, very interesting, weird stuff that stinks to high heaven, in my opinion. Warrants further investigation, especially all that witness testimony. Let's go to the phones. We got Zach. Zach, are you there?
Hey, Jake, how are you?
I'm doing good. Welcome.
Hey, it's good to hear you back on the airwaves. I hope you had a good time out there in Europe and saw the socialism and how bad it works. And
it was pretty cool. Despite that, I didn't get to see a lot of that, but Europe, I really suggest people go and check it out. It's so interesting. And I think as Americans, we live in this bubble created by the mainstream media, and it's so nice to go and actually meet the people in these other countries and realize they're just like you and me, and they just have a slightly different take. And man, Italy was just out of this world.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like the thousands of years that people have been over there. It makes me kind of wonder, are there very many liberty-minded individuals out there? Or
yeah,
I
think they are. I think what happens is in their lifestyle, it's kind of like Americans in a way. Like everybody wants to be left alone. Nobody wants to be told what to do. But then all of a sudden when it comes to other people's money, they're fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so hopefully they're just one step away from it. The one thing that is a factor is the euro is on the lips of everybody over there, and the collapse and how bad the economy is. And Italy in particular is hit pretty hard, but still the people, this is something I've been saying why I'm an apocalyptimist, that I know that the collapse is coming. However, I'm actually optimistic. I think it'll be great. And I think that's what I see over there is the people just are leisurely, happy, good people.
Yeah.
The people freaked out by the collapse are not the very high ups, but kind of the middlemen in the bureaucracy of tyranny. They're the ones flipping their lids.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that actually brings up a good point, kind of a headway into what I was thinking. You said you had Gary on there. I'm really sad I missed that. I just got off work.
Oh yeah, just go to the website later tonight. He was we brought him right in at I think it was 1:10. I mean, right as we opened.
Oh man, that's awesome. But I remember I heard him talking, I think it was on CNN, and about our political party and all that. And just the thing that I really liked, he was talking about unemployment and how once you get off unemployment and you have no more money coming in, then you really hit the pavement and work hard and try to find a way to make a living. And that's kind of what's going to happen in Europe and here in the United States is that once things really get bad, that's when you really give it everything you have. And I kind of tend to agree with what Gary said, is that why have that procrastination? Why have that time frame where you just kind of sit back and know that, oh, well, I don't have to go out and work too hard today, so I'm going to just hang out in the pool. That's what we really need to do is to realize the dire situation we're in. And I think that a lot of times we need those wake-up calls, and that's what's going to happen with this economy is that once it hits you in your own time, in your own life, that's when you really make the steps that are necessary to change your life.
Well, when it collapses, the good parts, the apocalyptimist parts for me, yeah, it'll be uncomfortable, yeah, the trash won't get picked up, but people will eventually, it's kind of like when you grow up. Like if you're a kid and your parents do everything for you, you kind of slack a bit, and you realize and all these stuff, and you don't buy insurance and all this kind of stuff, and then you realize eventually, you kind of just slowly wake up, hey, I've got to just do this on my own, and it's not that big of a deal. And I think that's kind of where we're coming. We're like, as a people, when this collapse comes, we'll kind of let go of this codependency we have on big government and big corporations and whatnot, and people will just do for themselves. And frankly, that's what I find in these older cultures. Like when I went to the UK and Italy, people just did their own thing. They almost didn't even care about the government, which is almost a more free perspective. The problem is they're getting shafted, run over with a tractor called taxation, unfortunately. So they are wage slaves. But
well, I mean, a lot of people talk about zombie apocalypses, and I say we're in one right now. You have all these people running around going, brains. They don't have a brain, and so they keep trying to find one, and the guys with a gun and say, I'm taking control of my life. I'm going to get food. I'm going to take care of my family. And the rest of you idiots, if you try and eat my brain or take away my mental self-defense, I'm going to shoot you with whatever ammunition you might have in your pocket, you know? That's what we're in right now. I mean, in 2008, I thought Ron Paul was a liberal. I didn't know anything about liberty. But, you know, liberty is like mathematics. First you learn 2 + 2 = 4, and then you can move on to calculus, trigonometry, all that other stuff. But I think that we have to talk to people in the terms that they understand. I mean, it's so easy to say, wow, you're a neocon. I can't believe what you're doing. And they're like, what are you calling me? Like, I don't understand. You're talking trick to me. And we really have to break it down. I love your show. I'm giddy as a schoolgirl when I think about liberty. And, man, this is the true gospel of Jesus Christ, Buddha, and Stephen Hawking. I don't care.
Yeah, all of them. I mean, the point is about opening your mind, learning how to learn, and just being honest, productive, peaceful people. It's so crazy that that's revolutionary, that's somehow controversial these days.
Well, we just have to rage against the machine. You know, it's just like in the Matrix. If the only reason why we don't like the machines is they're putting little things up our necks and on our backs and making us be these happy little hamsters that give them energy, and we just need to break free. We need to live our lives peaceably, and, in the end of the movie, it really just sums it up. As long as they're not hurting us and we're not hurting them, they can go nuts, you know? And
exactly. That's all we want is just peace and to be left alone. Now, I'm curious, what's your take on the whole Batman thing, the shooting?
I actually, I went and saw The Dark Knight Rises this weekend. And believe it or not, I actually, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking about that and, like, what happened and why it happened. And even the movie itself, the theme, it's so ironic that these evil people, they're doing what they think is right. Like, I don't know necessarily if this guy was brainwashed or what, but honestly, I think that the people that are these psychotics actually just have an altered view of reality. And I think I think we need to try and understand them as best as you can. But, I mean, maybe he was brainwashed because, like, it sounds a lot like MK Ultra. It sounds a lot like...
Well, that's the thing. It's like Sirhan. I mean, now a number of psychologists, experts in hypnosis and whatnot that have seen him firsthand are like, this guy was hypnotized. And I looked at some of the trial, the stuff where he was brought up and they were televising his appearances. They were saying in one side that he was still acting like the Joker or something, and then they showed him on the screen and it looked like a total bewildered, and he had amnesia. Then they said that he couldn't remember anything. It could be faking. We don't know. He could be totally playing us and faking it. But all the strange witness testimony that does not seem to be really getting any attention, in addition to all these strange connections to neuroscience and these government agencies like DARPA, it just stinks.
And what also scares me, Jake, is the first thing that I've heard was gun control, was all these different things that came up, just like Fast and Furious. There is so much gray area that doesn't really add up, And I mean, they have all these copycat guys. There's a guy that said he was going to do the same thing. I think that the world that we live in is more orchestrated than we'd like to believe, and that there is some kind of order to the chaos. And I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, I think it's not a hard. I don't think it's a hard fist. I think it's a soft nudging where they constantly nudge from 10 different angles to move things in a certain direction.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
don't
Well,
know.
hey, I
And-
appreciate the call, Zach. Anything else to add? We're running out of time here.
Yeah, just one more thing. We just need to get Gary 15%. I don't know how it's going to happen, but we got to do it. We got to have him show how terrible Romney and Obama are, and we need to get him in the Oval Office. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, no worries. Get over to GaryJohnson2012.com. I know they're doing a push to help get whatever they need to get this media buy. So check out the website. I'm sure it says everything that anybody can do to support them. And Zach, appreciate the call, buddy.
Definitely. Thanks, Jake.
All right, man. Talk to you next time. Look, guys, I'm not saying I know what's happened. I just am saying that there's all these weird data points. Really, really weird. You know, like how this Colorado judge issued a gag order. Why? I mean, I guess you don't want tampering of the jury and stuff like that, but I don't know. There's a bunch of weird stuff here. And the fact that this guy had sent his notebook to a psychiatrist, and the fact that he has a psychiatrist tells me he's probably on some sort of psychotropic drugs. Something's weird. Come on back. 801-254-5855.
Are you ready for some fun? It's time to get out and play. Grab your kids, grandkids, and the kid in you. Experience the fun of radio-controlled cars, trucks, boats, and helicopters. Visit www.primehobbies.com, your online hobby store. We only stock name brand products, Traxxas radio-controlled cars and trucks, HPI Racing, Align Helicopters, Team Associated, and Quest Aerospace. If you're tired of buying and buying and buying the discount store junk, stop by primehobbies.com and purchase a vehicle that will last for years with parts support to keep you up and running. Let Prime Hobbies be your #1 trusted online hobby superstore. For fun delivered right to your door, go to primehobbies.com. That's www.primehobbies.com. Let the fun begin. www.primehobbies.com.
Are you feeling weighed down by clutter? Let Town Storage help you lighten up. Using a storage unit is a great way to organize your home so you can experience clutter-free living. If you're trying to sell your home or having family over for the holidays, a storage unit can really help open up your house for a quick sell or to make room for all the relatives. Town Storage has new lower prices and an on-site manager. You have 24-hour management, security, video surveillance. Town Storage is great. It's right off the freeway. There's an electronic gate. The driveways are nice and wide, so you're not having to squeeze your truck in. In fact, they can accommodate a whole 53-foot tractor trailer. They're open 7 days a week, and they even have business discounts. Wherever you live in Utah, there's a Town Storage near you. Visit townstorage.com. That's town with an E, storage.com. Or call 800-716-8917. That's 1-800-716-8917.
You're over 40, having trouble reading street signs, driving is getting scary, and reading isn't fun anymore. Sound familiar? Well, that's the curse of cataracts. I know, I went through it. Then I went to the Eye Institute of Utah, and in a matter of minutes, the problem was solved. No pain, no discomfort, and by that evening, I had the vision I'd enjoyed as a teenager. Years ago, cataract surgery was a huge deal. Now, thanks to modern LensX laser technology, the whole procedure's over in a matter of minutes with no pain or discomfort, and Medicare pays most of the cost. Don't trust your vision to just anyone. You want the very best, and for me, that was Dr. Sione and the other highly trained specialists at the Eye Institute of Utah. They've done thousands of successful procedures, and they're so advanced that other doctors come from all over the world to study under their guidance. Call now for a free evaluation. 801-803-6968. That's 801-803-6968. Call 801-803-6968 now for a free evaluation.
The Voice of Utah. AM 630 K-Talk.
K-Talk.com.
#1 for the most live, local, two-way talk.
Long distance information, give me Memphis, Tennessee.
All right, guys, welcome back. Mental Self-Defense Radio. I am your host, Jake Shannon, and back from my 2 weeks off. Again, thanks to my fill-ins, Scott Lindsley, also Kenny Barlow, and his friend from Lunatic Radio, Kenny and Sean. Lunatic Fringe podcast. Great show today. Talked a bit with Gary Johnson, Libertarian presidential candidate, former two-term governor of New Mexico, and known as Governor Veto. He vetoed more legislation during his tenure as governor than all other governors combined. And if you don't think we need a president veto, you need your head examined. And not somebody claiming it. Somebody who actually has proven they will do it and can navigate those waters deftly. That is Gary Johnson. Check him out, Gary Johnson 2012. Thrilled that he spent some time. I think that's like the third or fourth time he's come on the show, which I am just thrilled. And you may not know, but his campaign is actually headquartered here in Salt Lake City. Great guys. Great team behind him here. The thing that was bugging me the most was this shooting when I was overseas. And so I did a lot of digging. And I also lived in Colorado. So, I'm familiar with some of how the mechanics here work. I went to the University of Colorado. Now, he was a PhD student. I was at Boulder. He was at the Denver campus. But he also was a recipient of a National Institutes of Health grant at the Anschutz Medical Center there at CU Denver. Now, ironically enough, CU Denver is where I had my chemotherapy, my radiation treatments and whatnot. That's where I got turned on to hypnosis for managing the pain and whatnot. And the other weird thing is that MK Ultra was not just about hypnosis, not just about narco-hypnosis, which is hypnosis with the aid of pharmaceuticals, not just trauma-based programming, also known as torture. They also used radiation to see how that could affect your brain. Now, the thing that's interesting to notice is that this Anschutz medical campus gets its funding from a fellow who's passed on, Philip Anschutz, who was a oil and like an oil magnate and a railroad magnate. Okay? Always something with those oil and railroad guys, the old school people. He also owns the Weekly Standard. He was the owner of the Weekly Standard, which is the very famous neoconservative mouthpiece. Now, these all are just data points. We don't have a smoking gun other than these strange witness testimonies, which will be interesting to see what happens to these individuals. I would highly suggest they become as vocal and visible as possible immediately. Although that judge did seal the case, so that might make it difficult for them. Now, I know that Holmes was working also with the University of California at San Diego. I think that's where he did his undergraduate. And DARPA is all over this. DARPA is the Advanced Super Secret Research Facility for the Department of Defense. They do all the crazy stuff, like the super soldier stuff. And they do a lot with what they're calling narrative networks. You could type in DARPA narrative networks. I know that there's, and this is effectively kind of what happens with hypnosis. It's a lot like a story. Some weird things going on here. Now, I know, I'm not interested in conspiracy theory. I'm really not. But things like MK Ultra are not theory. There's evidence. Smoking gun evidence. January 27th, 1975, the Church Committee was created because of all these crazy experiments that the CIA was doing on U.S. citizens. Artichoke, MK Ultra, a whole bunch of them. And these came to light Now, they did burn. This is, again, another fact. They burned like 85, 90% of the documents. And the documents that have been released are heavily redacted. But I'm looking at one of the declassified MK Ultra project documents from my book, my hypnotist book. I have the whole second chapters on this stuff, where they hypnotized somebody. It starts out, it's like an old school mimeograph on typewriter, subject, hypnotic experimentation and research. 10th of February, 1952. On Wednesday, 10th of February, 1954. On 10th February 1954, hypnotic experimentation and research work was continued in Building 13 by, and then it's all blanked out, using the following subjects, and then their names are blocked out. The group of 5 subjects appeared on schedule, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, they showed that under hypnosis, these, in the circumstances in which they were able to work, they were actually able to get these normal, everyday people who are nonviolent, peaceful people to fire a gun at an innocent person. Right here. I don't know what you need, people. This is the government's own documents. Government's own documents. Guys like Dr. Ewan Cameron, Dr. Jolly West. These are guys that you should be looking up. I've had on this show experts in mind control before. I would go back and check the archives. This is real stuff. This is a lot of it a result of kind of the times, Watergate. Trust in government at an all-time low. People started making these FOIA requests, these Freedom of Information Act requests. And yet most of the documents were burnt, so we don't know. We only know that they were doing narco-hypnosis, trauma-based programming, these things. There are testimony. I'll play it here. I'm going to play you some testimony from those hearings. Okay? MK Ultra, this is the old footage.
I'm Christy Nicola, born July of 1962, rendering me 32 years of age. I was a subject in radiation as well as mind control and drug experiments performed by a man I knew as Dr. Green. My parents were divorced around 1966.
Now I want you to remember the name Dr. Green. We'll come back to that in a moment.
And Donald Richard Ebner, my natural father, was involved with Dr. Green in the experiments. I was a subject from 1966 to 1976. Dr. Green performed radiation experiments on me in 1970, focusing on my neck, throat, and chest, 1972 focusing on my chest and my uterus in 1975. Each time I became dizzy, nauseous, and threw up. All these experiments were performed on me in conjunction with mind control techniques and drugs in Tucson, Arizona. Dr. Green was using me mostly as a mind control subject from 1966 to 1973. His objective was to gain control of my mind and train me to be a spy assassin. The first significant memory took place at Kansas City University in 1966. Don Ebner took me there by plane when my mom was out of town. I was in what looked like a laboratory, and there seemed to be other children. I was strapped down, naked, spread eagle, on a table, on my back. Dr. Green had electrodes on my body, including my head. He used what looked like an overhead projector and repeatedly said he was burning different images into my brain while a red light flashed aimed at my forehead. In between each sequence, he used electric shock on my body and told me to go deeper and deeper, while repeating each image would go deeper into my brain, and I would do whatever he told me to do. I felt drugged because he had given me a shot before he started the procedure. When it was over, he gave me another shot. The next thing I remember, I was with my grandparents again in Tucson, Arizona. I was 4 years old. You can see from this experiment that Dr. Green used trauma, drugs, post-hypnotic suggestion, and more trauma in an effort to gain total control of my mind.
Now, it's important to, this is not up for debate, people. These people have won cash settlements. Even the Canadian government, Ewan Cameron, this doctor, who we know did this stuff. Canadian victims of this have sued the Canadian government and gotten money. U.S. victims have sued and gotten money. Stop acting like this is just because it's uncomfortable. If you have a disease, you need to get it treated. And this is sickness of the highest disorder. This is moral. This is ethically sick.
He used me in radiation experiments both for the purposes of determining the effects of radiation on various parts of my body and to terrorize me as an additional trauma in the mind control experiments. The rest of the experiments took place in Tucson, Arizona, out in the desert. I was taught how to pick locks, be secretive, use my photographic memory, and a technique to withhold information by repeating numbers to myself. Dr. Green moved on to wanting me to kill dolls that look like real children. I stabbed a doll with a spear once after being severely traumatized, but the next time I refused. He used many pain induction techniques, but as I got older, I resisted more and more.
Now remember, this was, again, she's mentioning Dr. Green. We're going to get to this. And there's even a strange Utah connection. We'll get to it, but let's go to the phones. We've got Sandy calling in. Sandy, welcome to the show.
You know, when this incident happened at the movie house, at the movie theater, the first thought that hit me was mind control.
You're not alone. I mean, it lit people up because it just is weird. This isn't normal.
What the hell, excuse my language, are these people? It's all about gun control. They program these kids. They don't care about lives. And this is what happens. They're trying to control the guns. We need to turn this around and say we need more guns in the hands of the people who are credible.
Well, this is like what Gary Johnson was saying. I guess at that movie theater chain, even if you have a concealed carry, and this is how it works here in Utah and all the other states, you could carry concealed unless there's a sign posted that says you cannot carry concealed on this property. Then you can't. Well, that's what they did at this movie theater. That you could not protect yourself.
It ends up planned. The whole damn thing was planned.
Well, look, all I know is I wasn't there, and I'm not party to the plan, and I'm not a victim, and I feel for these people, and I'm worried about it happening in the future. I don't want a TSA every time I go to take my kids to the movie theater. And it bothers me that there's this multiple witness testimony, individuals who don't know each other, all saying similar things, that there was an accomplice, that the tear gas came from an opposite side than the shooter. There's something that's not adding up.
Well, people need to wake up.
I think it's going to happen. I think what we have to do is...
We need to wake up as a society and say, we're done with this.
The only way this is going to work,
Sandy...
Sandy...
get their guns and learn how to use them and protect us.
But it's like Switzerland. Switzerland, every single person in Switzerland owns a rifle.
That's right.
It's like your duty. And where do you ever hear of anybody in Switzerland getting messed with? It never happens.
Didn't it used to be like that here in the 1800s?
Well, it used to be, but actually, I think it's actually by law in Switzerland that you have to own a gun. But here, it just was common sense.
Anyway, so mind control, absolutely. And this poor kid, I mean, you look at his face, and the kid was innocent.
Well, he reminds me a lot of...
He didn't even know what he was doing.
He reminds me of Sirhan. The look and the distant look, the bewilderment. You know who I'm talking about? The guy who shot Robert Kennedy, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
so
I'm with...
things are planned, and frankly, I am sick of it.
The only way out of this, Sandy, because I don't think violence is the answer. I think it's kind of a Gandhi-style critical mass where everybody needs to wake up. We all have to tell every single person within earshot, our friends, our family, our coworkers, and stop just bending over and cowering when somebody says, "Oh, that's crazy." Look, I have 1,000 data points. I have 1,000 data points. What do you need?
What more do you need? What more witness do you need that something's gone wrong?
This is where we push back and put it on them. Yeah. You're going to call me a kook because I'm seeing the facts that all these other people are seeing independent of me, and we all see the same thing?
Well, we can all see it. We know what's going on.
You know who else they said was a kook? Galileo. And how shocking. He said the sun was the center of the solar system. And how shocking. And he was afraid for his life for speaking a fact.
Yeah.
We got to stop.
Well, that's it. We're living in a corrupt society, governmental-wise. So.
Yep. Well, Sandy,
has to be done.
I appreciate it.
We need to, like you say, we need to push back as a nation, as a world.
Peacefully.
Yeah.
All right, Sandy.
Peacefully.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. Talk to you soon, guys. Come on back. 801-254-5855. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Politicians may try to convince you that they can create jobs, but the cold fact is that politicians don't create jobs, entrepreneurs do. Are you barely surviving in this economy but want to learn how to thrive in this economy? Are you tired of the rat race and burn with the desire to be your own boss? We've all heard the parable that if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. But if you teach that man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Are you ready to learn how to fish? Join proven entrepreneur, best-selling author, and host of Mental Self-Defense Radio, Jake Shannon, at the upcoming Weekend Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Training right here in Salt Lake City. This Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Bootcamp is strictly limited to only 15 participants and is offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Learn more now at www.entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. That's entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com.
Over 20 million Americans suffer from a life-threatening health risk known as obstructive sleep apnea. For people with OSA, snoring through a bad night's sleep can contribute to heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, sexual dysfunction, and shorten your lifespan by 8 to 10 years. You need Dr. Miles Preble, the OSA dentist. He's helped hundreds of folks like you or a loved one with this problem. Call 801-278-4787, 801-278-4787. Remember, when you laugh, the world laughs with you. Snore, and you sleep alone.
Gung Ho gives you brain energy, not just caffeine buzz.
Energy reserves play a critical role in healthy brain function. A vital benefit of Gung Ho is its ability to keep the brain's energy-producing centers healthy and alert. Gung Ho provides your brain with the safe, natural energy it needs to stay sharp. Find Gung Ho at k-talk.com.
Need focus.
The voice of Utah. AM 630 K-Talk.
K-Talk.com.
Number one for the most live, local, two-way talk.
Talk to each other and talk.
All right, guys, welcome back. Mental Self-Defense Radio. I am back here in the saddle again. I am Jake Shannon. Feel free to give a call, chime in. Curious on your perspective. This is my welcome to the way my brain is processing the data points. 801-254-5855 is the call-in number. I'll give the same caveat. If the line is ringing, hang in there. We'll get right to you. We really do. I want you on. Even if you don't agree with me, I'm fine with that. I don't take any of this personal. I actually look at every engagement, even when I disagree with somebody, as an opportunity to learn. You might know something I don't. But I'd like you to consider the fact that I might know something that you don't. So all I'm asking for is a little open dialogue. And again, if the line is busy, then call right back. Before the break, I was playing the testimony from an MK Ultra victim. I'm going to play, and that was from, it's known as Testimony B. Let me play just a little bit more.
He often tied me down in a cage.
And when she refers to he, she's talking about this Dr. Green. And I want you to remember Dr. Green, because we're going to come back to him here shortly.
Which was near his office. Between 1972 and 1976, he and his assistants were sometimes careless and left the cage unlocked. Whenever physically possible, I snuck into his office and found files with reports and memos addressed to CIA and military personnel. Included in these files were project, subproject, subject, and experiment names with some code numbers for radiation and mind control experiments, which I have submitted in your written documentation. I was caught twice, and Dr. Green ruthlessly used electric shock, drugs, spun me on a table, put shots in my stomach and my back, dislocated my joints, and hypnotic techniques to make me feel crazy and suicidal. Because of my rebellion and growing lack of cooperation, they gave up on me as a spy assassin. Consequently, the last 2 years, 1974 to 1976, Dr. Green used various mind control techniques to reverse the spy assassin messages to self-destruct and death messages.
Now this is a courtroom. This is the testimony.
His purpose, he wanted me dead, and I struggled to stay alive all of my adult life. I believe it is by the grace of God that I am still alive. These horrible experiments have profoundly affected my life. I developed multiple personality disorder because Dr. Green's goal was to split my mind into as many parts as possible so he could control me totally. He failed, but I've had to endure years of constant physical, mental, and emotional pain, even to this day. I've been in therapy consistently for 12 years, and it wasn't until I found my current therapist 2.5 years ago, who had knowledge of the mind control experiments, that I've finally been able to make real progress and begin to heal. In closing...
So this hearing is the President's Advisory Committee on Human Radiation Experimentation, March 15th, 1995. You can go look this up.
I ask that you keep in mind that the memories I've described are but a glimpse of the countless others that took place over the 10 years between 1966 and 1976.
I mean, this is real stuff. I have another one, MK Ultra victim testimony C. Again, same hearings.
Between the years of 1957 and 1984, I became a pawn in a government scheme whose ultimate goal was mind control and to create the perfect spy, all through the use of chemicals, radiation, drugs, hypnosis, electric shock, isolation in tubs of water, sleep deprivation, brainwashing.
I mean, doesn't this sound like Guantanamo Bay? Doesn't it? Sleep deprivation, things that they do like to Bradley Manning. This is all from the research of you and Cameron. I mean, look, you can go listen back a year or 2 years, maybe, probably a year and a half ago, but I had Colin Ross, very famous psychiatrist down in Texas, who helps people with this kind of stuff. You know, I mean, really, this is... I don't know what else to tell you. It sounds crazy and fantastic, but there's evidence to back it. And I'm not saying that that's what happened with this James Holmes, but there's something fishy. There's too many ties to advanced research, military projects, drugs, psychiatry, and this weird dazed look a lot like Sirhan. I'm just saying, something stinks here. And especially the witness testimony, seeing multiple people.
Verbal, physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. I was exploited unwittingly for nearly 3 decades of my life, and the only explanations given to me were that, quote, the end justifies the means, and, quote, I was serving my country in their bold effort to fight communism. I can only summarize my circumstances by saying they took an already abused 7-year-old child and compounded my suffering beyond belief. The saddest part is, I know for a fact that I was not alone.
Look, guys, I don't know what to tell you. Let's go to the phones. We got Dennis out in Salt Lake. Dennis, welcome to the show.
Okay. A cause for this Colorado event that seems that few people are recognizing the possibility of. It may not be nearly thing as the conspiracy theory you're advancing. and that is this person was seeing a psychiatrist.
Now, this is something that I am very interested in, and again, I'm not making any kind of theory here. What I'm saying is these are the points. These are the data points that exist, and I agree with you. He was seeing a psychiatrist,
now,
and I'm very fascinated where
a very common thing for psychiatrists to do anymore when a person comes to them and they're depressed about their life is they prescribe a so-called antidepressant.
Yes, SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor.
Yeah, and it seems that the salesmen for the drug companies have been told how to pitch these drugs, and they end up lying to the doctors about their safety. Public side effects of these drugs are suicidal ideation.
Yeah, what they call increased suicidality, which is their way of, like collateral damage. It's
In
murder.
other words, people become preoccupied with suicide.
Yep.
Homicidal ideation.
Yep.
And abnormal thinking.
I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, Dennis. I mean, I don't know how long you've been listening to the show, but I am, one of my...
I listened to it from the start.
One of my pet causes is something I call iatrogenesis, which is basically death by doctor. And this is not controversial. This is by the statistics according to the Journal of the American Medical...
You can go to a website...
Wait, hold on, Dennis. Oh, wait, are we having a conversation? I'm just trying to say something here. Psychiatry is one of the most dangerous subfields in medicine, modern medicine. And I agree with you 100%. These SSRIs... Now, I certainly see that as a data point. The psychiatrist, the SSRI drugs, or the antidepressants as they're more commonly known. You are absolutely right about the suicidality, the homicidal ideation. All of that, 100%, I back with what you're saying. And what I'm adding in addition is all these bizarre other additional connections too. Something's weird.
Now, there's a website. It's called ssristories.com.
Yep, I love it. I've been there.
And there's years and years of stories there of people who basically said, let me tell you how using this drug has ruined my life or the life of a loved one.
Well, what I like about that website, Dennis, is that you can also, if you type in, for example, school shootings, they show you how almost every single one of these school shootings, which, by the way, ever since antidepressants were released on the market about 10 years ago, there's an interesting coincidence of a mass.
20 years ago.
Well, but really where the law changed where they could do direct-to-consumer advertising. There's a huge change in the number of these kind of mass public shootings. And even the guy who was the psychiatrist who worked for the Army, he was on these drugs. The guy at Virginia Tech was on the drugs. The guys at Columbine were on these same SSRIs. Yep. And they're in that same website, that ssristories.com. Great resource. I'm glad that you're awake, Dennis.
And it's this has all the patterns of somebody who's been put on the drug. Then it takes just a little bit of hinting for him to start thinking about doing something like this and planning it.
But let me ask you something, because I am, as you know, I'm rattling off stuff about this same thing as you. I'm on the same page. But what I want to push you and challenge you a little bit, what do you make of these witness testimonies? I mean, I played them early in the show. I don't know if you heard them, but these are from local news agencies like, NBC, CBS. These other people, none of them knew each other, that are saying that this guy had an accomplice. And none of them know each other. You just discount that or what?
No, I'm not going to discount that. And the media certainly isn't talking about someone else being there, but that doesn't mean that somebody else wasn't there. And what I find so stunning is that the police departments never think about the possible SSRI connection.
Well, and it is becoming more and more common. Like you're mentioning, like I know it, and I think that if people go there and just type in school shootings, again, the great recommendation, Dennis, ssristories.com. Just type in their search engine school shootings, and you'll get like a bajillion returns showing all the students that are on these. And you're right, the side effects from these drugs, and this includes things like Wellbutrin, Celexa, Lexapro, all these SSRIs, is what you're talking about. increased suicidality and increased homicidal ideation. Scary stuff. Dennis, you there?
I'm here.
Yeah. So
I have a relationship with the people that founded that website.
Oh, great.
And, in fact, I volunteered and helped the International Coalition for Drug Awareness, and for years screening the click-through emails that came into the site, passing the ones that were on topic on to the head of the organization and getting rid of the spam.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that website. Actually, my 2009 book, Anomaly, I cite that specific site. So that's exciting, and that's great that you've been contributing to it. Do you find most people are just their head in the sand about these drugs?
Well, what I basically found in the emails I screened is, we restrict it to the set of stuff that's on topic for the website.
Yeah.
And of those, a goodly percentage will give me more information, which basically is information already available on the website, and most of the rest were, let me tell you about how this stuff ruined my life.
Yeah.
And a few of them where I just wanted you to know that it's working for me. And some of those, I get another email from them later saying, let me tell you how this has ruined my life.
Well, the funny thing is, Dennis, it's not controversial. If you type in Prozac and placebo, you could see all the research studies that show that Prozac is actually less effective than placebo, and yet you get all these crazy, awful side effects with Prozac.
Oh, yeah. In fact, even the manufacturer's research published on the web shows that there was not that much difference between those who used the drug and those who were on the placebo, and there are studies out there showing that people that were put on an exercise program
right
did better than the people who were given the drug.
Good old-fashioned clean living. Imagine that. Dennis, I appreciate the call, my friend. Anything else you want to add? We're bumping up against our commercial here.
Well, what we want to pay attention to is this guy could very well have been prescribed an antidepressant, and with a little bit of hinting, it pushed him into planning this whole thing out, which he did.
Yeah.
And anything about what's actually indicated here isn't that we should be put additional controls on weapons, but on the application for permission to buy a weapon, there should be a question. Have you ever had an SSRI prescribed in your behalf, and make it a felony to outlie on that question?
Or if you're currently at least on them, because people can get off of them eventually, tapering. Hey, Dennis, I got to run. I appreciate the call. Very good call. Please don't be a stranger. Guys, come on back. One more hour left. Mental Self-Defense Radio, 801-254-5855.
Are you ready for some fun? It's time to get out and play. Grab your kids, grandkids, and the kid in you. Experience the fun of radio-controlled cars, trucks, boats, and helicopters. Visit www.primehobbies.com, your online hobby store. We only stock name brand products, Traxxas radio-controlled cars and trucks, HPI Racing, Align Helicopters, Team Associated, and Quest Aerospace. If you're tired of buying and buying and buying the discount store junk, stop by primehobbies.com and purchase a vehicle that will last for years with parts support to keep you up and running. Let Prime Hobbies be your #1 trusted online hobby superstore. For fun delivered right to your door, go to primehobbies.com. That's www.primehobbies.com. Let the fun begin. www.primehobbies.com.
Wake up without yuck in your lungs or the dark cloud of lung cancer or heart disease looming over your future. Have the energy and health you deserve by simply calling Salt Lake City Family Hypnosis at 801-738-5390. Forget what you've seen from TV and the movies. Hypnosis is powerful and natural. It has been accepted by the American Medical Association since the 1950s. Our methods have proven time and again to be more effective than pills, patches, gum, and willpower for quitting smoking. If you've tried the rest, now call the best. Salt Lake City Family Hypnosis, 801-738-5390. That's Salt Lake City Family Hypnosis, 801-738-5390. Be sure to ask about our proven weight loss and natural breast enlargement programs. Visit us online at slchypnosis.com.
You're listening to Utah's first #1 talk station. K-Talk, AM 630, KTKK, Sandy, Salt Lake City. The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
NBC News Radio, I'm Pete Williams. In a Colorado courtroom today, prosecutors formally charged James Holmes with murdering 12 people and attempting to kill 58 others in the movie theater shootings. NBC's Mike Taibbi says it's the beginning of a long process.
The actual arraignment won't be until the middle of November, 3.5 months from now, at which point the suspect will submit his plea, guilty, or not guilty by reason of insanity, and the clock will start on whether prosecutors will seek the death penalty.
Americans won medals today in the Olympic 100-meter backstroke. 17-year-old Missy Franklin struck gold in the women's event. Matt Grievers and Aaron Pearsall finished first and second in the men's competition. Chrysler turned in a $436 million profit last quarter. The company lost $370 million at the same time last year. Wall Street was treading water today. The Dow was down 2 points. The Nasdaq dropped 12, and the S&P 500 slipped a point. This is NBC News Radio. Syrians are running from the city of Aleppo in droves after 10 days of fierce fighting between rebels and government forces. ITV's Neil Connery says hospitals are stretched beyond limits.
At one hospital, the scale of suffering faced by the medics shows no let-up. Some days we get 30, 40, 50 wounded people, this medic says. 3 days ago, after shelling in one neighborhood, there were 30 wounded civilians and 20 corpses.
Defense Secretary Leon Panetta left on a 5-day trip to the Middle East today, telling reporters that Russia could make a difference in the violence in Syria.
We have been urging Russia time and time again, exercise that leadership, exercise that influence to get Assad to step down and to help Syria transition to a democratic form of government.
Another diplomatic blow to Assad's regime. Syria's top diplomat in London has defected. I'm Pete Williams reporting NBC News Radio.
Do you have dark circles under your eyes that make you look tired? Do you have bags or puffiness? Hi, I'm board-certified plastic surgeon Dr. Stephen Greenberg. When patients ask me about dark circles or puffiness around their eyes, I tell them about a breakthrough cream called Lumitone. Now you're invited to try Lumitone for free. Lumitone was made to work in 2 ways. It instantly fades dark circles from view and relaxes the look of puffiness. The results are so dramatic. I've tried this in hundreds of my own patients and they love it. Stop looking tired and start looking refreshed. If you have dark circles or puffiness under your eyes, call now.
Right now, listeners of this station are invited to try Lumitone free. Pay only a small shipping and handling fee. For details, call 1-800-469-0252. That's 800-469-0252. This free offer is available while supplies last. Call 1-800-469-0252. That's 800-469-0252.
Hey guys, I want to give you an opportunity that you've never had before. My name is Ellen, and I'm an attorney talking to you about a medical breakthrough for men in the sexual health world that uses cutting-edge technology. This amazing product is called Retoxor, and the results have been remarkable on the subjects who were studied during case testing. Legally, all I'm allowed to say on the radio is that the before and after comparisons are nothing short of shocking. Be one of the first 50 callers right now and find out how to get Retoxor for free. Due to the private nature of Retoxor, we have created an identity protection program, which absolutely guarantees you that nobody will ever know you participated. Your name will never appear in any delivery, and there will be no emails or phone calls. As a matter of fact, we won't even ask you for your name when you call.
Shocking before and afters. 800-434-4502. Your identity is completely protected. 800-434-4502. That's 800-434-4502 right now.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. You've seen it all over the news. Malware and spyware infections are at an all-time high, and no brand of computer is immune. Many protection programs do not protect you from everything, so people and companies are losing billions of dollars of cherished memories and data. Thieves are stealing social security numbers and personal information. At PC Laptops, we've been removing these evil diseases for over 17 years. Is your hard drive clicking? Did your kids drop your laptop or spill something on it? Did a bad person sabotage your computer? Did you know at PC Laptops, we can recover data from most crashed hard drives? We can help. If your desktop or laptop is acting slow or strange or dead, just bring it into any PC Laptop store right now for a free scan and evaluation, no matter what brand it is. In fact, we're so good, if we can't fix it, we'll buy it from you. So get into any one of our locations right now or call us at 1-877-596-SAVE or check us out at PCLaptops.com. PC Laptops, we really love you!
Politicians may try to convince you that they can create jobs, but the cold fact is that politicians don't create jobs, entrepreneurs do. Are you barely surviving in this economy but want to learn how to thrive in this economy? Are you tired of the rat race and burn with the desire to be your own boss? We've all heard the parable that if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. But if you teach that man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Are you ready to learn how to fish? Join proven entrepreneur, best-selling author, and host of Mental Self-Defense Radio, Jake Shannon, at the upcoming weekend Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Training right here in Salt Lake City. This Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Bootcamp is strictly limited to only 15 participants and is offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Learn more now at www.entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. That's entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com.
Come on. Love my good.
Exposing politics as pro wrestling. Welcome to Mental Self-Defense Radio and the Jake Shannon Radio program. Now, here's your host, Jake Shannon.
5-1, baby. 1 and 5.
All right, guys, welcome back. Mental Self-Defense Radio. I am your host, Jake Shannon, and we're talking about a whole bunch of issues. As of recently, I've been taking the direction of this show more financial because, again, leveraging my professional and academic background as a quantitative analyst, as a financial quant or financial engineer, and a statistician, all that kind of stuff. But while I was gone, pursuing some entrepreneurial ventures, which were great, financed my visit. I had to do a little bit of work, but when you're doing what you're loving, work can be like play. And so I was out there, able to visit the UK and Italy and share my passion for one of my ventures out there. And but while I was out there, that's when this whole disaster with James Holmes, the Batman shooting, all that kind of happened. Now, I do want to thank caller Gloria, who called in to congratulate me for, quote, going there. Really cool, and I'm also glad that she recommended that book, Shock Doctrine, because, yes, we are talking about the same kind of issue. Now, my problem with Naomi Klein is, in my opinion, she conflates a little bit. I consider her a left libertarian, but she conflates a little bit state capitalism with a free market. Maybe that's a debate for another day. But, he called back. My Facebook friend, because I don't just talk these points here on the radio, I also talk them on Facebook. And a friend of mine from Facebook, who I don't agree with on a lot, but we have nice civil conversations nonetheless. Tanner in Salt Lake City. Tanner, are you there?
I'm here.
Hi, Tanner. How's it going?
Not too bad. You were talking about gun control, so I had to chime in.
That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely I am, right? First Amendment sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. First Amendment, but remember, what comes after the First Amendment? I forget. What's the next one?
The third. We skipped the second because it was ruled wrong in 2008. That was a terrible Supreme Court ruling. But anyway, moving on. It goes from 1 to 3.
Interesting.
Right? the dissenting opinion on Heller versus, what was it, Washington, D.C. or something like that. The dissenting opinion kind of is mine. But that's neither here nor there. You were talking about the Colorado shooting being introducing new gun legislation.
No, I don't know about that. I do find it unusual that there's this push by Clinton, Secretary of State Clinton, to sign this UN gun treaty, which would, it's just how the law works. The treaty would supersede the Constitution, and even if the Second Amendment did matter anymore, it would just codify it that we effectively could not defend ourselves.
Well, wasn't that in the works even before the Colorado shooting? That's what I had read.
It was,
so I don't know how that relates to Colorado.
No, Tanner, all I said is it's an interesting relationship that they're both happening at the same time.
I guess it's interesting, but I don't know just how related they are as far as one being a huge push for the UN. As far as what's going on in the world and what the UN's looking at, a Colorado shooting is as big as it is of a deal in America. It's not that big of a deal worldwide, I don't think.
No, that's. If you cannot connect the dots, Tanner, I love you to death. It's okay. It's okay. There's no one way to connect the dots.
I want you to help me connect these dots. If I'm not going to the right places, then by all means help me. It doesn't make any sense because I haven't seen. I think the last thing I saw was that Obama said that he wanted to come to a consensus about ways to reduce mass shootings, and other than that, that's the only thing that I've seen.
Yeah, I don't know about Obama. I'm not talking about Obama. I'm talking about the fact that there is this UN treaty. If you just type in whatever your favorite search engine is, type in UN gun ban, and it is up for consideration right now.
Well, absolutely.
And there is an interesting correlation between the restriction of private gun ownership and tyrannical regimes. I hate to mention the Nazis because it always seems like the low-hanging fruit. The Nazis did it. The Soviets did it. The North Koreans did it. It's
UK has done it.
Who's that?
The UK.
In that case, it didn't turn out to be tyrannical. Yeah,
and it turned out to be pretty effective, actually, as far as reducing crime related to guns. If there aren't any, we don't. Granted, the UK doesn't really have the same sort of problem as we do with the drug war, as far as what's going on with Mexico and all that sort of stuff. But it worked out for them, and as far as that goes, it seems to be working. And I don't see.
So Tanner, let me ask you this, because you're making, obviously, if you take away guns, then less people will be harmed by them.
Right.
But of course, the criminals still have them. You realize that criminals in the UK still have guns. It's just the law-abiding people don't have them. You realize that, though, right?
Well, some criminals still have them. The idea that just any street thug's going to get a gun is kind of crazy to me.
It's more difficult. It's more difficult.
Yeah, it has to be a pretty intricate or organized crime sort of syndicate sort of thing that's going to get guns if they're completely outlawed. And I'm not even asking for them to be completely outlawed like that.
Well, let me ask you that.
I don't know if I should or not.
But wait, because my mind is bouncing around a bit with you here, because you mentioned Obama.
Right.
And it kind of, one of the arguments that always is bumping around in my head is that, if guns kill people, then forks make you fat. And Michelle Obama seems to believe that as well. Maybe not forks, but the junk food. And Mayor Bloomberg in New York saying that you can't drink soda over a certain quantity. These are all kind of similar issues in my mind.
They're all silly. They're all silly. The idea that you can't buy a soda that's above a certain thing, in my mind, is silly. You can't.
Okay, well, that's good. Then we do agree.
That's silly. But as far as gun control and forks or spoons making you fat, that's a silly argument to me.
But let me.
I don't think it works because the guns are made for one purpose, and that's killing people. And
well, that's not true. That's not true. Guns.
Well, what else are they made for other than killing? What thing are guns made for other than killing?
Well, defending yourself.
That's killing, still, right? Unless you're one hell of a shot and you can kill someone in sense. Or
well, usually it just takes the fact that the threat. If one person has a gun and then I pull my gun, it's kind of like the nuclear disarmament race where nobody wants to pull the trigger because the other person can. It's a mutually assured self-destruction, and as weird as that sounds, it does seem to work.
Except for it's kind of only, I mean, country to country, that there's a lot more people to retaliate. But if you're pointing a gun at one person and the other person has a gun, first person to pull the trigger wins.
Well, except there are laws and there's courts and jail, and
right.
in this country, the death penalty, unfortunately.
As far as not looking at the laws and saying, this dude has a gun to your head, you have a gun in your coat, you're still screwed.
So,
you're not. It doesn't matter. You're just going to die with a gun in your coat or in your hand trying to pull it.
Well, let me ask you this, Tanner. So then, I'm trying to again get on your map here. So then, it is about the sheer death statistics that should make it illegal then.
Well, not the death.
Because more people die from like prescription overdoses. Than,
right. Of course, and cars and or
doctors,
heart attacks, doctors,
medical malpractice. We should make them illegal.
There's a lot of things that, as far as the statistics go, of which one's the most deadly, but those are not. That's not their primary function, which is my thing. With guns, it's primarily about killing in one way or another, whether it is self-defense or otherwise. It's about killing the other person.
Yes, but if that person, but wait, if that person is coming to kill you, even the Dalai Lama has said that if the person's coming to kill you, you can kill them first. I mean, the Dalai Lama is about as much of a hippie as as you can get, right? Is that fair? Tanner, you don't like the Dalai Lama? Oh, well, sorry, Tanner. I like the Dalai Lama. I really do. I think he's got some profound insights. Let's go, Mike. Hopefully, connect and he'll call back. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
When you hear these arguments of this is what we need to do and this is why we need to do it, and gun control. I mean, I'm a gun owner and everything is great, but I have to admit something happened this weekend that really just absolutely floored me. And did you watch the opening ceremonies of the Olympics?
Oh, well, I didn't watch it, but some of the creepy stuff, like the dead babies and stuff.
It was horrible, and I'm sitting there looking at when is this going to get better? And and I'm watching this with my kids, and I'm watching what's going on, and I'm hearing the announcers, the people that are giving us the news, and these are the who's who in the entertainment and the news world, and they're selling how great the Olympics opening ceremony is. And my kids are like, is it really that good? Because they're telling us how great it is and how this is going to set a new standard in opening ceremonies. And I'm like, this is horrible. And all of a sudden it clicks in my mind, these are the same guys giving us the news. They're spinning how great, and it was horrible. And I had to stomach through finally. I have never had a big Olympic guy, but I think it's fun. But they're pitching how fantastic and how well the choreography is and how this sets the bar so much higher than what China did. And I'm like, wow, you're selling me and trying to tell me how good this is when I can clearly see how crappy this
Well, not only crappy, but just like disgusting, like the big dead thing and the like that Grim Reaper thing, and then the dead giant baby.
Well, regardless, I mean, even that when they're changing the set, and this is the transformation. I'm like, wow, I must not be into literature or art because this is boring. They're telling me how great the stage is being changed. But that's the funny thing that I started thinking about is these are the same people that give us the news or give us
or tell you
our opinion is.
Tell you that it's a lone gunman or something. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We need to change gun control because this is why, and this is why we need to change our policies. And if they can sell how bad the Olympics was to the American people, what else are they selling to the American people?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's my point is, you hear gun control. I have a gun, but don't tell me I own a gun and I'm going to go kill somebody. I'm going to have it to defend my home. Or,
I think there's like 65 million responsible, good gun owners. It's like these gun control laws. It's like trying to rid ourselves of drunken driving by not allowing good drivers to drive. It makes no sense. I mean,
well, and then even I'm not a Facebook person, but my wife told me that she could not find the Facebook page for Chick-fil-A to support Chick-fil-A. Have you heard anything about that? How it was taken down for about 12 hours?
Oh, yeah.
Chick-fil-A?
I like Chick-fil-A, but if the guy's an idiot and is going to go rag on gay people or something,
absolutely,
then it's a market. In my mind, then it's a market. Protest, boycott, don't go to there. It's peaceful still. I still find it delicious, but I may, I think gay rights are important, and I probably wouldn't support that, even as delicious as Chick-fil-A is, unfortunately.
But
I think
see,
that was dumb. If I was as a business owner, I'm going to stay out of that crap. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's a huge publicity thing for them, obviously, but the razor's edge of that is you can say what you want, but I can't say what I want. You know?
I don't know. I didn't know that they got, maybe they pulled down their own Facebook because they didn't want all the negative comments. I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
But I do certainly think that you should be, and if it's your business, you should be able to do whatever bonehead stupid thing you want to do. And even if like they're trying to be edgy and try to, get free publicity out of it, they should be able, as long as it's peaceful, I have no problem. Now, I probably won't go there because that guy's a bonehead and I don't want to support that stuff, but yeah, they have every right to do it. I have no problem with it.
My whole purpose of this call is I just really hope people are finding their own opinion and they're doing research themselves.
That's all we're trying to do here on this show is push people how to think critically. You there still? You're kind of cutting out, Mike. Hello? And we lost Mike. Mike, if you want to call back, we're bumping on commercial anyway. We got about 10 seconds, but call back when you got a better cell connection. Yeah, guys, I want to get a little deeper into this. Remember I was telling you to remember Dr. Green. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the caller, Gloria, recommended a book called Shock Doctrine. Well, it's along similar lines. I want to play a little bit of a clip from the documentary that goes along with that book. Right here, Mental Self-Defense Radio. Come on back, guys. 801-254-5855 is the call-in number.
Are you ready for some fun? It's time to get out and play. Grab your kids, grandkids, and the kid in you. Experience the fun of radio-controlled cars, trucks, boats, and helicopters. Visit www.primehobbies.com, your online hobby store. We only stock name brand products, Traxxas radio-controlled cars and trucks, HPI Racing, Align Helicopters, Team Associated, and Quest Aerospace. If you're tired of buying and buying and buying the discount store junk, stop by primehobbies.com and purchase a vehicle that will last for years with parts support to keep you up and running. Let Prime Hobbies be your #1 trusted online hobby superstore. For fun delivered right to your door, go to primehobbies.com. That's www.primehobbies.com. Let the fun begin. www.primehobbies.com.
Are you feeling weighed down by clutter? Let Town Storage help you lighten up. Using a storage unit is a great way to organize your home so you can experience clutter-free living. If you're trying to sell your home or having family over for the holidays, a storage unit can really help open up your house for a quick sell or to make room for all the relatives. Town Storage has new lower prices and an on-site manager. You have 24-hour management, security, video surveillance. Town Storage is great. It's right off the freeway. There's an electronic gate. The driveways are nice and wide, so you're not having to squeeze your truck in. In fact, they can accommodate a whole 53-foot tractor trailer. They're open 7 days a week, and they even have business discounts. Wherever you live in Utah, there's a Town Storage near you. Visit townstorage.com. That's town with an E, storage.com. Or call 800-716-8917. That's 1-800-716-8917.
You're over 40, having trouble reading street signs, driving is getting scary, and reading isn't fun anymore. Sound familiar? Well, that's the curse of cataracts. I know, I went through it. Then I went to the Eye Institute of Utah, and in a matter of minutes, the problem was solved. No pain, no discomfort, and by that evening, I had the vision I'd enjoyed as a teenager. Years ago, cataract surgery was a huge deal. Now, thanks to modern LensX laser technology, the whole procedure's over in a matter of minutes with no pain or discomfort, and Medicare pays most of the cost. Don't trust your vision to just anyone. You want the very best, and for me, that was Dr. Sione and the other highly trained specialists at the Eye Institute of Utah. They've done thousands of successful procedures, and they're so advanced that other doctors come from all over the world to study under their guidance. Call now for a free evaluation. 801-803-6968. That's 801-803-6968. Call 801-803-6968 now for a free evaluation.
The voice of Utah. AM 630 K-Talk.
K-Talk.com.
Number one for the most live, local, two-way talk.
Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't want to call nobody out.
All right, guys, welcome back. Mental Self-Defense Radio. I am back in this chair behind the microphone. Again, thanks so much to Scott Lindsley and both Kenny and Sean over at Lunatic Fringe Podcast for popping in here and keeping the conversation interesting and relevant. Talking still about, I'm in Europe and the story all over is this Batman thing, and it just is weird. I mean, all these weird data points. Now, the thing that bothers me the most, where it really begins to move from kind of, kooky conspiracy theory into like the realm of evidence, admissible evidence in a court of law, are these testimony, these people who saw more than one person. Now, earlier in the show, you'll have to go back. I'm not going to play it all over again, but here's one of the, I think there was 4 in the prior clip. I'm just going to play this guy again just to refresh your memory. Crazy stuff, really crazy stuff. Concerning to me that there might be something more to it than meets the eye. Hold on a second. Here it comes. It takes a second to load. Oh, and of course they're going to put a commercial on this clip before I play it for you. So I'm going to play not only this witness testimony. In a second, I want to play a little bit from the shock doctrine. Also play a little bit on the news coverage of the Reagan assassination. And again, there's a connection to Denver. Nefarious, weird things that there's not a smoking gun, but certainly there's data points that we should all be listening to. So here we go. It finally queued up. Let me play this young man who is a witness there. Let's give him a moment. Here we go.
As I was sitting down to get my seat, I noticed that a person came up to the road to the front right, sat down, and as credits were going, I know it seemed like he got a phone call. So he went out towards the emergency exit doorway, which I thought was unusual to take a phone call. And it seemed like he probably pried it open or probably did not let it latch all the way. Soon as the movie started, somebody came in, all black, gas mask, armor, and threw a gas can into the audience, and it went off, and then there was gunshots that took place.
Now that was one, and the other 3, one was saying that the gas can came from a different angle. Actually, 2 of the other guys. You'll have to go back and listen. I'm not going to replay that clip. Creepy stuff. And there's just these data points. And again, it looks like he was under the care of a psychiatrist, so some problems with these SSRIs is our caller who is affiliated with that SSRIstories.com, I think it is, website. And this, I've had it in my 2009 book. I think it's such a great website. But there is certainly a connection between all of these selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors and these mass shootings. Again, somebody make it the same, seeing the same thing. I think she has maybe a different solution than I. She's a little more lefty than I am. But Naomi Klein has a book called Shock Doctrine, and I'm going to play just a little bit from that. I think that she nails it. The problem. I think her diagnosis is right. The treatment's probably a little wrong.
The 1940s have been a decade of breakthroughs and developments in medicine and psychiatry. Scientists have developed a new technology to cure mentally ill adults. With the use of electroshocks, the minds of sick patients are being wiped clean, giving them a fresh start. On this blank slate, physicians then imprint a new, healthy personality.
Remaking people. Shocking them into obedience. This is a story about that powerful idea. In the 1950s, it caught the attention of the CIA. The agency funded a series of experiments. Out of them was produced a secret handbook on how to break down prisoners. The key was using shock to reduce adults to a childlike state.
Now, this is from the CIA's interrogation manuals.
It's a fundamental hypothesis of this handbook that these techniques are, in essence, methods of inducing regression of the personality. There is an interval, which may be extremely brief, of suspended animation, a kind of psychological shock or paralysis. Experienced interrogators recognize this effect when it appears, and know that at this moment the source is far more open to suggestion, far likelier to comply than he was just before he experienced the shock.
Now, you can go and look that up on your own. Again, she then starts to cite some of the same people I've been mentioning today. Ewan Cameron, famous psychiatrist who was unfortunately innovative in these fields. And I played some of the MK Ultra victims, their testimony from what they went through in the 1970s in those hearings, the state hearings. Let's go to the phones. We got Jason holding patiently in Provo. Let's go to Jason. Are you there, Jason? Jason, hold on. Maybe I've hit a wrong button. Hold on here. Jason, are you there? Nope, we lost Jason. Okay, we'll go to... Oh, we got Tanner. Tanner's back. Good, so he just got disconnected. Tanner, are you there, buddy?
There I am.
Okay, good. So my mention of the Dalai Lama didn't offend you, I hope.
No.
Okay, good.
According to the, whatever it is, test for politics, I'm right next to the Dalai Lama. Me and the Dalai Lama are on the exact same point.
Well, then did you hear? I don't know if you got disconnected beforehand, but my point is when asked, the Dalai Lama said, well, if somebody's going to kill me, you do have the right to kill them first.
Yeah, you do. But the whole thing I'm getting at with this is I don't mind self-defense. I don't want that to be the problem. If someone is honestly trying to kill you, then I don't care if you kill them first. I really don't. I'm not that liberal, I guess, if we're going to use liberal as the term.
But have you ever heard that?
Non-lethal.
But have you ever heard that phrase? Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. I mean,
don't bring a knife.
If this wacko comes into the movie theater and he's got a bunch of guns, I'm not going to be doing so good with my non-lethal. He's covered in body armor. A taser's not going to do anything.
Mace will.
He had a gas. He threw tear gas in. No, mace would not work. He had a gas mask.
I don't know. There's sometimes that I mean, weren't there Marines in that theater
without guns? You couldn't carry a gun. It was posted that you could not have a concealed carry in that place.
Was it posted? Because I heard that it wasn't posted, and that there's never been a posted sign outside of a theater in Colorado.
At the beginning of my show, I had a two-term governor come on and say that, and I don't think he would just say that out of anything. He's not one of these smarmy guys.
Right. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying I heard differently, and then again, I heard it from NPR, and that's apparently, according to conservatives.
Let me ask you just this. Let's just run a thought experiment, Tanner.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If you're in that theater, and this wacko comes in, guns ablazing, tear gas, body armor, wouldn't it make sense to be able to defend yourself? Wouldn't you, at that point, and I'm asking you really to put yourself in the shoes of these victims, the 72 people who were wounded, the 12 people who died, including a 6-year-old girl. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody was firing back immediately, protecting not only themselves, but everybody else in the theater?
Yeah. Let's have a police officer sit front and center.
Everywhere? So we have to go through the TSA to go through to a movie now?
Go through the state.
No.
I don't know about going through the state, but the way I see it is, tell me if I'm wrong, because I might be exaggerating, but you want everyone to have a gun, right? Or every
I want, you know what I want, Tanner? What I want, Tanner?
Competency.
What I want is responsible gun ownership, not all that different than people responsibly driving a car. Because I could, if I was James Holmes and I didn't have a gun, I could have just drove a giant SUV through the movie theater too. You know, my point is I don't think anybody who advocates for guns and self-defense is advocating for their irresponsible use.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. But at the same time, if everyone in that theater had a gun, or everyone, we'll say just for the sake of argument or the sake of the, I guess, picture in my head, every person over 18 had a gun in that theater, and everyone that was competent, we'll say, starts firing back. And now you have 10 times as many bullets firing, and people are getting up and scattering and trying to run.
But
how much collateral damage extra is being done
I'm
from
pretty
all these
sure-
people trying to
listen,
shoot that guy, or
I'm
shooting
pretty
who
sure-
they think might be related to him, or isn't, or whatnot. And
No, listen,
I
Tanner.
wouldn't if everyone would have shot.
I get your perspective, but what my argument is 72 some odd people were hurt. I'm pretty sure if a bunch of sane people figured out that this guy was the idiot, I'm pretty sure it'd be less than 72 people injured, 72 fish in a barrel, not able to defend themselves, 12 people, including a little girl, 6 years old. I'm pretty sure it would have been a lot less, because here's the fact, and maybe it's counterintuitive, but when you look, and this is from the FBI's crime statistics themselves, when you look at the statistics, those areas of the country that have the highest incidence of private gun ownership, they have the lowest incidence of violent crime. Because the little old grandma who can't physically punch or knows mixed martial arts or something, she all of a sudden has an equalizer that makes her just as able to defend herself and her property and her loved ones as a big dumb thug does.
Yeah, I'm not against. Here's my view, and so we can get this out, so I don't get, I guess, misrepresented by my own words.
Okay.
I don't care if you have a gun and you keep it in your house. If you kill your own kids with it, which happens far more often, and I think even you would agree, than anyone stops.
And that's a
the
tragedy,
crime.
and again, that is irresponsible gun use. You can have a gun locker, you can have a gun safe.
So those irresponsible people can stay in their home and keep their guns in their home. And tragedies like Colorado are going to happen no matter how many people have guns. People were still going to die, probably at the same level, if not more, in my personal opinion, than would have it. Well, let me rephrase that. I kind of lost my own head. If everyone had a gun, the same amount of people would have died, if not more, plus the injury would have gone up, in my opinion, in Colorado, if everyone has a gun. I'd say keep it at your house. If you're defending your home, that's your last line of defense, it's your sanctuary, it's whatnot. If you keep a gun there, it's your deal. I don't care. Don't take it out in public. That's my whole
But what
thing.
about
Do
like
not.
at right here in Salt Lake City at the what is that Trolley Square or whatever? That whole shooting was stopped because an off-duty cop had their gun with them and nailed it.
It was a cop. It was
Right,
a cop.
off-duty,
I don't
but they
care I don't
listen.
care if off-duty cops have them. That's what they're. As far as the Second Amendment goes,
No,
it's
wait,
a part of
Tanner,
a
hold
militia, and
on,
the
dude,
police
Tanner,
is our-
Tanner, hold on. Let me finish my
Okay.
thought, okay? Because you get on a roll here a bit.
I'm sorry, I
It's
get a
okay.
little bit carried away.
It's okay. It's an emotional issue. I understand. But
Go
look,
ahead.
my point is an off-duty cop is a citizen, and the laws. It could have been anybody who had a concealed carry could have stopped that guy. And thank goodness, otherwise we would have had a bigger circumstances here. Just the other day, a guy with a concealed carry stopped a violent guy with a knife in a shopping center. This is, listen, you had a problem with a gun, but then all of a sudden, if every single person in the movie theater had mace, which you said was okay, that's okay. But still, it doesn't turn into a mass breakout of macings. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I'm kind of getting what you mean, but again, mace is non-lethal. It's not going to kill you. People are going to run out.
But either way, that even seems like that would.
watering and coughing. But
That seems that it would make it more likely that it would happen because you're not going to get the death penalty, heaven forbid, or I'm just macing you.
Oh wow! Don't bring up the death penalty because then we'll get into a whole different.
No, I
argument.
know.
That's
I don't
not-
want to get
that's
off
not
topic,
a
but my
thing.
point is that I would think that because there's less repercussion, that people would be macing until the cows come home. And when, hey man, don't stop kicking my chair, and spray him in the face. That's not what's happening.
Well, they're dicks. I'm sorry if I can't use that word on air.
Well, we'll bleep it. Don't worry.
Oh, okay, good. I'll try not to.
Thank you.
If they're rude, they're not good people. Those people that will do that over anything, they're not good people, and the same sort of not good people that shouldn't own guns. I want it to be really hard to get a gun. I want it to be hard. I don't want people, just anyone, to have a gun. I want it to be as I
Tanner,
see the
Tanner.
or Second Amendment to be the Second Amendment. The way I interpret it is a well-regulated militia, the best trained, the most.
Tanner,
Whatever.
Tanner. Wait, you're a socialist, so you should love Switzerland. Okay, you should be like, man, Switzerland. That should be the whole planet. Okay, every single person in Switzerland has to, by law, has to own a weapon, a rifle. And
don't
yet
hurt
there's
me
not
like that.
mass shootings.
Don't hurt me like that. I know. I know.
I'm just pushing you to challenge this because look, the gas grenade that he threw was illegal, and he still got it. The laws don't matter. What it does is the bad guys sit there and plan and plot and figure out how to get around the laws, and the good people become the fish in a barrel. Well, that's just bad strategy for the good guys.
Right, and you know what? This is the thing that I think, and it's not backed up by any facts, so it's just my stupid opinion.
Dude, I don't want to hear it if there's no facts. Why would I even want to hear this?
Let me.
Why would you?
Look,
I appreciate the preface, but why would you tell me that? I don't want to hear it if there's no facts.
But I don't think that. I think it has to do more with our gun culture, where there's so many people that are doing that are so pro Second Amendment, pro gun rights, pro anti-government sort of people that it creates. That alone creates this black market.
Tanner, look, Tanner, I think you just have, and you're like me. Tanner, you're like me. I think you have a aesthetic revulsion to that lifestyle, like country music. I do not like country music.
I love country music.
But they should be able to listen to it, and they should be able to do it as long as they're not hurting anybody.
Right, but their black market sort of stuff is what gets dummies. Hey,
Tanner, that is the bell, buddy. I got to go. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, have a good show. It's
thanks,
great.
buddy. I appreciate it. All right, guys, come on back. Mental Self-Defense Radio, K-Talk, the voice of Utah.
Politicians may try to convince you that they can create jobs, but the cold fact is that politicians don't create jobs. Entrepreneurs do. Are you barely surviving in this economy but want to learn how to thrive in this economy? Are you tired of the rat race and burn with the desire to be your own boss? We've all heard the parable that if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. But if you teach that man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Are you ready to learn how to fish? Join proven entrepreneur, best-selling author, and host of Mental Self-Defense Radio, Jake Shannon, at the upcoming Weekend Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Training right here in Salt Lake City. This Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Bootcamp is strictly limited to only 15 participants and is offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Learn more now at www.entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. That's entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com. entrepreneurship.jakeshannon.com.
If you have been diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea and are wearing a CPAP mask, are you among the 75% of CPAP users who cannot tolerate it? Does it make you feel strapped down, interrupt your sleep, causing tooth-related problems? Does it make you feel claustrophobic and you unconsciously remove it during the night? Call Dr. Miles Preble for a comfortable alternate treatment at 801-278-4787. That's 801-278-4787 or online at smileutah.com.
Gung Ho gives you clinically proven focus, attention, and concentration.
A major benefit of Gung Ho is its increased focus and concentration. The ability to focus requires an adequate ongoing supply of energy and healthy communication between neurons. Gung Ho supports a natural brain metabolism. Find Gung Ho at k-talk.com.
Light focus.
The voice of Utah. AM 630 K-Talk.
K-Talk.com.
Number one for the most live, local, two-way talk.
Hello, it's me. I've thought about us for a long, long time. Maybe I think too much, but something's wrong.
All right, guys, welcome back. Mental Self-Defense Radio. I am your host. I am back. I've been off for 2 weeks, so thank you so much to Scott Lindsley filling in, Kenny Barlow, and also Kenny and Sean for both Lunatic Fringe Radio, the podcast. You can check all those guys out. Fun show today. Opened up with one heck of a guy, Governor Gary Johnson, running for presidency, doing one heck of a job. Really brilliant guy. And you want to stay tuned. This is the last segment for today. But stay tuned. Mills has got a Dr. Sorensen, expert in Mesoamerica. Mills always bringing in thoughtful, thought-provoking guests, having those conversations. Let's go back to the phones. Jason had called in earlier, but got disconnected. Jason, are you there still?
Hey, Jake. How was your vacation?
Jason the Patriot, man. It was all good. It was fun. I mean, I'm a bit of a history buff, so from that perspective, it just was outstanding. Especially Italy, seeing the old school architecture and paintings, just out of this world.
Yeah, when it comes to European history, it's quite a remarkable place.
Yeah. So what's going on, Jason?
Once you take the socialists off the table over there, that is.
Well, we got our own problems here with socialists.
That's true. Touche. You know what? You're hitting the nail in the coffin with this shooter in Colorado.
It's fishy.
The whole thing's fishy. I remember the news reporting the guy being extremely out of work and poverty-stricken. Okay, so where the hell did he get the money to buy all the arsenal?
Well, supposedly the money came from these National Institutes for Health grants, but that's still money coming from the government. He's got a lot of deep connections to DARPA, Defense Agency research. There's just something that's fishy on that side. And then with all these witness testimonies, seeing multiple people, you know what I mean, like accomplices, a gas can coming from the other side of the theater than from where he was, all kinds of weird stuff coming up from this.
Absolutely. And along with, you mentioned it earlier, the UN Smart Arms Treaty, which luckily we defeated it so far for the time being. But
well, that's what they do. Is they keep pushing it. It's like they let it die, and then they come back and give it another weird acronym.
Here's the thing: the new Cybersecurity Act that the Senate's looking at. Someone added an amendment, an ammo cartridge to ban ammo clips.
And that's in the Cybersecurity Act?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, and I'm glad you reminded me, because I've been so absorbed in this story. But yeah, this is one of the things where you guys need to call your senators. Type in the Cybersecurity Act in your favorite search engine and call up the White House switchboard. Get your senator and tell them no. Now, unfortunately,
and light them up.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hatch is going to be bought about this. He's bought and sold by the intelligence agencies.
I don't like Hatch, but from what someone told me via Facebook today, he's actually against it. But obviously, it's because of the election year shenanigans.
Well, we should still call his office. Also call. I know Michael Lee's against it, which I give Michael Lee a hard time on some things, but in some of these things, I'm real glad that he's on the right side of the line.
Yeah, I like Mike. I'm not. I don't like him over a couple things, maybe different from you, but he's still a rock star.
Yeah, he's so much far above everything else. I mean, he's doing a great job, and I give him a hard time on a few things, but I am always happy that he votes against like the Patriot Act and these kind of nonsense.
Absolutely.
Laws.
Now,
all right. Hey, Jason, anything else you want to say?
Jake?
What's that?
On the 8th of August, I know you're a Gary Johnson guy.
Yes, sir.
But on the 8th of August, we have Virgil Goode coming into town.
Oh, so he's running for president for the Constitution Party, is that right?
Yes, he is.
Okay, good.
But he's going to be at the Bountiful City Hall, City Council chambers, or at 7 o'clock.
And so if people are listening right now and they want to maybe go to the web or something, find info, is this listed on the Constitution Party of Utah's page or what?
I've created a few. There's been numerous emails going out, but I'm not sure about actual on the website itself. Constitution Party tends to be a little slow at updating the website, but I know I've created a few posts myself.
Okay, so maybe Facebook is a better place to look for this.
Yeah.
And you said his name Virgil Goode, is that right?
Yes. But it's not only that too, because that same night, candidate for governor, Kirk Pearson, is also going to be there with his lieutenant governor, and our U.S. Senate candidate, Sean McLaughlin, who will be another Ron Paul, and others.
Awesome. Hey, now I hate to rush you off because I've only got like 10 minutes left and I want to get to a couple things. But again, that's awesome. Good job. Thanks, Jason.
Okay. Yes.
All right, dude. Awesome. Good job. Thanks, Jason.
Okay.
All right, man. Okay, talk to you soon. I did want to get to a couple things and certainly check that out. Obviously I'm the chair of the Libertarian Party, but any third party, get these morons out. Get them out. It's craziness. Now, I wanted to get to two things. Now, I kept mentioning, I didn't. The testimony that I played earlier from that MK Ultra victim was talking about a Dr. Green repeatedly, how this Dr. Green was always involved. And there's these other, now I'm fairly sure that was a pseudonym. What's interesting is there is a bit of a connection here to Utah. There is a local psychologist, and his name is D.C. Hammond. He's over at the University of Utah. He's got his PhD in psychology. He was the head of the American Board of, the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis, which is quite a prestigious organization. And if you type in Greenbaum speech, Greenbaum speech, this is a speech that he gave, something he was finding in his research in hypnosis back in the early 90s, late 80s. The bottom line is he was getting this is well before kind of the internet was well spread. I mean, it was kind of, Usenet and whatnot. And he was passing along information with other psychologists, hypnotists about multiple personality disorder, which is now known as dissociative identity disorder, about these fractionated personalities, the fractured personalities. And long story short, he started noticing, and then his colleagues kept noticing, did you notice a constant mention of this Dr. Green or Dr. Greenbaum? And this is a very interesting story. So I would highly suggest that you check it out. Again, Greenbaum lecture, and then type in Hammond. The guy's name is D.C. Hammond, and he's an academic over at the University of Utah now. From what I understand, he doesn't speak about this anymore, and I don't know why. But he did notice this unusual data point. All these people who did not know each other, all of them seeming to suffer from dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality, when they would get hypnotized and brought down to a state where they could discuss some of this issue, they would notice this guy named Dr. Green or Dr. Greenbaum. Now, I'm scaling down about halfway through. In this lecture that he gave, the Greenbaum lecture, Dr. Hammond says, it appears that below this we've got some other layers. One is called, quote, green programming, it appears. Isn't it interesting that the doctor's name is Dr. Green? One of the questions, in a way that does not contaminate, is after I've identified some of this stuff is there, and they've given me a few right answers about what some of it is, quote, if there was a doctor associated with this programming, and his name was a color, like Dr. Chartreuse or something. If his name was a color, what color would that be? Now, once in a while I had some other colors mentioned, but in about 3 or 4 patients that I felt were trying to dissimulate in some way, and I don't really believe had this. In one case, I got another color, and I found out later it was a doctor whose name was a color and who was being trained by Dr. Green almost 30 years ago. And he supervised part of the programming of this woman under this doctor. I remember one woman couldn't come up with anything. No alter would speak up, which is one of the multiple personalities, with anything. I said, okay. And we went on to some other material. About 2 minutes later, she said, Green. Do you mean Dr. Green? And we found this all over. There appears to be some green programming below that. And I suspect that if you get down to fewer and more central programs, the deeper you go, well, all green programming is ultra green and the green tree. Anyway, he goes very deep into this. This is really, it's quite interesting. And I want you to understand, I'm going to play you. I mentioned, a lot of these lone gunmen that seem completely crazy. Sirhan. You can look him up now. There is quite a number of psychologists vociferously, vocally saying that he was hypnotized. Well, I want you to listen to this about the connection between John Hinckley Jr., the Reagan assassination, and the Bush family. And this is from a news broadcast. queuing it up now.
On 400 individuals it considers the most likely political assassins, but Hinckley's name was not on that list or among 25,000 other names of less probable presidential assailants. So just who is John Hinckley Jr.? We have reports beginning with Charles Murphy.
Highland Park is one of the richest suburban towns in America. John Hinckley and his family lived in a house that would sell today for around $300,000. Hinckley is barely remembered.
Now, keep in mind, this is from 1981.
At Highland Park High School, where he graduated in 1973. His picture is in the yearbook, a neatly dressed young man, but teachers had trouble recalling anything about him. One classmate said he just sort of blended in.
He was a kid who didn't really have a lot that made him stand out.
No one from this period of his life could imagine him being accused of yesterday's crime.
To think that I knew someone who had shot a president and that I had no idea that he'd be capable of such an outrageous act.
When he left this neighborhood 8 years ago, he was, by all accounts, well-liked and seemingly normal. Then something went wrong. For the next few years, he would be an intermittent student at Texas Tech at Lubbock, an aimless, somewhat erratic student. The acquisition of guns started here, and on one of his last visits to Dallas last fall, he would buy 2 guns at Rocky's pawn shop, one of which the FBI says was used in the assassination attempt. Charles Murphy, ABC News, Dallas.
This is Stephen Gear. At their home in Evergreen, Colorado this afternoon, John W. Hinckley Jr.'s parents issued a final statement through their attorney.
They're holding up, I think,
So now this is interesting, again, kind of a Colorado random connection, but interesting.
as well as can be anticipated. Their concern is for the president, the 3 gentlemen who were injured, and of course their son. From the bottom of their hearts, the Hinckleys send their love and concern to all those involved in the tragedy.
It is known that the suspect recently stayed for 16 days at this suburban Denver motel. A maid who lives at the motel remembers him as pleasant, polite, and clean-cut.
I couldn't believe that the same young man that shot the people in Washington Day, besides the president, was the same young man that lived next door to me last week.
This donut shop near the motel was visited by Hinckley, who reportedly waited for a phone call here each day, even though he had a phone in his motel room. The nature of the calls is not known. And in Chicago today, the FBI called on the headquarters of the National Socialist Party of America, where the group's president says Hinckley was booted out of the party in 1979 after a year's membership.
Mike, why was he kicked up?
Well, for his attitude, you know.
Now, this is the U.S. Nazi Party.
He kept talking about going out and shooting people and blowing things up.
A touch of irony. The young man walking with the elder Hinckley is 30-year-old Scott Hinckley, John Jr.'s brother. He and Vice President Bush's son, Neil, are friends. They had planned to have dinner together in Denver tonight. The plans have been canceled. Stephen Gear, ABC News, Denver.
At the State Department, the Pentagon, and the White House today, an all-out effort was made to put in perspective and explain a remark made yesterday by Secretary of State Haig. Appearing in the White House press room shortly after the president was shot, Haig asserted he was in control. That immediately renewed speculation of a grab for power by Haig. We have a report from diplomatic correspondent Barry Dunsmore.
All senior government...
Now, the rabbit hole's deep on this one, guys. Keep sharp. Looking for the data points. Okay, I will see you guys tomorrow. Stay tuned, Mills, coming right up. Metal Self-Defense Radio. See you guys tomorrow. Stay tuned for Mills, K-Talk, Boise, Utah.
Are you ready for some fun? It's time to get out and play. Grab your kids, grandkids, and the kid in you. Experience the fun of radio-controlled cars, trucks, boats, and helicopters. Visit www.primehobbies.com, your online hobby store. We only stock name brand products, Traxxas radio-controlled cars,